That is your second contempt of court. You are sanctioned another $500. The next contempt of court will result in your incarceration. Do I make myself clear?
Welcome to Rebel Chaser. My name is Gail, and this is part 3 of the Urick versus Urick matter, and this is actually part 1 of the trial. Now, I'm sorry it's so long, but it doesn't disappoint. It's crazy train here. I'll let you guys watch.
We're on the record in the Urick matter, case number 537730. Please state your appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mark Anderson, bar number 666, appearing for Attorney Kirk Smith. Also present is John Urick, the plaintiff.
Thank you. Please state your name, defendant.
Maria Urick.
Thank you. This is the time set for your trial for divorce. I have one set of exhibits from the plaintiff. Do I have any from the defendant?
I was not able to make a copy in time.
Okay. All right. Do you wish to make opening statements? If so, they will be brief, only 2 minutes.
Your Honor, I think our time's better used.
I do have a lot of exhibits and
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
I think our time's better used on the evidence. I do have an exhibit book for the witness stand.
Thank you.
And a courtesy copy for the court.
I have his.
Oh, this court already have one?
Yes.
Okay.
You have one already?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I think we've already.
Does the defendant have one? Okay.
But
Okay. Plaintiff's case in chief.
We call Maria Urick.
Okay, Ms. Urick, please take the stand.
what's over there?
Yes. Remain standing and raise your right hand, please.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. State your full name for the record, though.
Maria Elena Urick.
Thank you. Do you need some water, Ms. Urick?
Yes, please.
Okay. Frank will get you some. Now, counsel is going to ask you questions. Make sure you wait until he's finished his question before you start to answer, because the record is video and audio taped, so you can't talk at the same time.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you answer, be sure and just answer the question that he's asking, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
Ms. Urick, can you tell me where you presently reside?
Yes. Rocky Star Street, Henderson, Nevada, 89012, as I've said before.
How long have you resided there?
Over a year.
Who lives there as well?
My roommate, Kilby Landon.
You previously described him as your boyfriend.
No, I have not described him as my boyfriend. My attorney misdescribed him as my boyfriend.
And you signed the financial disclosure form indicating he was your boyfriend, correct?
No, I did not indicate he was my boyfriend, ever.
All right. If you could turn your attention to Exhibit 1 before you.
Actually, I do remember when I put in my opposition, my motion to your 16.2 disclosures. I did.
Look at Exhibit 1.
Excuse me. I did note.
Man.
Yes.
So you did it
Yes.
okay.
Yes. I'm looking at Exhibit 1, and I'm remembering what happened
Wait
with
for
it.
the next question.
I didn't answer that question yet.
You
Can I
recognize?
answer the question, please?
You did answer the question, then he asked you to look at Exhibit 1, so look at Exhibit
Okay,
1,
I'm
and then
looking
he's
at
going to ask you another question.
I didn't finish. I
recognize
did not finish
Exhibit 1?
answering the first question. I would like to answer the first question.
I think you answered my question.
No,
sorry.
I would like to answer the first question because I did not finish answering.
Ms. Urick,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
answered the question, then you wanted to change your
Okay.
answer. So
yes,
he's asking you to look at an exhibit. If you continue in this fashion, this trial is going to take forever. So stop
Okay,
being
well,
so defensive
I'm sorry,
and just
but I just
answer the
remembered
question.
something.
Answer the
Okay.
question.
You recognize Exhibit 1 as the financial disclosure form that was filed on your behalf. in November of 2016, correct?
Yes.
And you signed this document at page 8. You'll note in the bottom right-hand corner
Yes.
of their page. And you indicated you were signing it under perjury.
No, I did not.
You did not. Okay. And if you look at page 6, you list Gilbert Landon at the bottom of the page, correct?
I also filed a motion of error showing that was an error on my motion to the 16.2 disclosures. I filed that it was an error.
And what did you list him on page 6 of your financial disclosure?
I did not list him as that. My attorney did.
You signed the document your attorney prepared.
When I noticed the error later, I had filed an addendum of error, whatever it's called. I forgot the name of it because it's been so long, but I filed it and I submitted it to the court that there was an error, and I acknowledged that error, and I defined that error and described what it was in my motion to my opposition.
We're here in August 25, the first hearing back last year. You also gave an address of 25085 Tradewinds Drive, Menifee, California. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And what is that address?
That is my best friend's house that I've had since I was 8 years old, and I've been living there on and off for the past 2 years, basically. Whenever Jordan and I needed to go to California for an audition, we would stay there, and it's our second home. We can stay there whenever we want.
At the time of the August 25th hearing, the court said you were to complete an inventory of items you were requesting from the Katy residence and provide it to counsel. Do you recall that?
Yes.
You never provided such a list, did
I
you?
actually did provide a list to my counsel, and that was one of the things I had against my counsel, is that she didn't submit it, and I have an email proving that I asked her to submit it, and proving I sent it to her, and she didn't submit it, and I kept asking her, why isn't it being submitted? And,
Where's that list now?
I have it with me.
But to your knowledge, it's never been provided to myself or the court, correct?
It wasn't officially submitted, even though I had several requests to do so, and I tried to submit it. And in other hearings, I've also tried to talk about it. Also, I would like noted that in Mr. Urick's complaint, he says he doesn't want anything in the house except for a few items. So that by default, I should get everything that I'm asking for. Also,
Ms. Urick, if you would answer my questions,
I would like to say
please.
that
Ms. Urick?
yes.
Ms. Urick? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was talking about.
Okay.
Just to answer the question.
Ms. Urick, you were awarded visitation at the November 30, 2016 hearing. You recall that?
Sure, yeah.
It was from Sunday at 12 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
And you were to provide the pickup for the minor children, correct?
Okay.
And since then, you've insisted that John transport the children for visitation. Isn't that true?
No, that is not true.
Do you provide transportation for the children?
Yes, I do.
If you could let me finish my question. For their visitation now, do you provide transportation?
I do, except for as court ordered, the last order on visitation, the court ordered that he picks them up and drives them to school. So aside from that, yes, I do.
And what vehicle do you use to provide that transportation?
I use my car, my Chevy Cruze.
When we were here on May 4th of this year, based on Ms. Berquist's recommendation, you were directed to attend psychotherapy. You recall that?
Yes.
And that therapy was to begin immediately. Did you begin that therapy?
Yes, I did.
When did you begin it?
Immediately.
So you began it on May 4th?
No, she didn't have a date on that day. I began it on the first date she had available.
What date would that be?
I don't have that with me right now.
About 3 weeks later?
Sounds about right. I also had to figure out how to pay for it and get the iText password and everything else.
And you were to file a letter providing proof of employment of the therapist. You never did that, did you?
Yes, I do have that letter.
You didn't file it with the court, did you?
I'm not sure if I did or not. I filed so many things with the court. I may or may not have. I'm not sure of that answer.
And the therapist you went to see is Deborah Petriak?
Yeah, how did you know that if I didn't file the report?
I'm not the witness here, so.
I'm sorry, can you spell the last name of Deborah?
Is it Tetriak?
I think it's Tretoriak, if I'm not mistaken.
And she was to prepare a report for the court. Has she prepared a report for the court?
She only wrote a letter. She doesn't do that, she said. She said she doesn't provide court reports. It was the only therapist available. Also, she was specialized in what was requested.
What was her specialty?
She specializes in personality disorders, parenting classes, drug disorders, a whole list of things.
So we have no documentation about any of the therapy she's
Yes,
provided.
I do have documentation. As I stated before, I have a letter from her.
You've not produced that letter before today, have you?
I am not, as I stated before, asked and answered. I already said my answer to that. I have the letter, and I'm not sure if I submitted or not. I submitted so many things. I don't remember off the top of my head if I actually submitted it, but I have it, and I have it with me today.
Did you understand that it was of some importance to the court to have a report from the therapist to see if you were progressing as recommended by Ms. Berquist?
No such order was said. The order didn't say anything about me progressing with Ms. Berquist. The order told me to ask me to, actually it suggested that I take the therapy classes if I'm not, sessions if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know exactly what it said, but it definitely didn't say it, what you just inferred, my progression.
Have you completed the COPE class?
Yes, sir. And I submitted the certificate.
You did? When did you do that?
Yes, sir, I did.
When did you do that?
I believe it was with my response to the 16.2 disclosures.
Are you saying you've produced 16.2 disclosures?
Yes, I did. In response to your 16.2 disclosures, I submitted my 16.2 disclosures in that document. Yes, sir.
What document are we referring to? I've not seen those.
I submitted a motion to continue and also my answer to your 16.2 for your plaintiff's 16.2 disclosures. If I'm able to bring my files over, I could be more specific and get things out. If you'd like me to do that, I could do that, no problem. It's hard to recall some of these things you're asking off the top of my head. They're very specific.
At the May 4th hearing, you are directed to email a list of personal items you would like from the residents. Do you recall that?
Yes, I've already answered that question.
No, that was a different hearing. I'm talking about the May 4th hearing.
Okay, we've already talked about my list of things from the house.
Did you email a list of personal items you would like from the residents after the May 4th hearing?
I emailed a list of my personal items to my attorney. Yes, sir.
Well, you didn't have an attorney at May 4th, 2017, correct?
Okay, maybe on the, okay, each hearing, did I send it on each hearing? Probably not.
You went
I
to,
did send it though. It's been sent.
You went to see Kathleen Berquist, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've had a chance to review her report to the court, correct?
I had about 15 minutes before the court hearing, even though I called and emailed every single day since knowing it was put in. Yes, I had a chance to review it, but I didn't get to fully review it that day. I actually had to come back another day to actually read the whole thing.
Is there any part of her recommendations that you disagreed with?
Yes, sir. There are a lot of things I disagree with in her report.
What do you disagree with in her report?
Well, since I wasn't allowed to be given a copy or take notes, this is off the top of my head, some of the things, but she had some blatant errors. For example, she said I moved out of my home when I was 12 years old instead of 17. She said that my mother was bipolar, which she's not, and has no mental disorder. She said both of my parents are drug and alcohol dependent, which is not true. My dad has heart problems and takes nitros, and he can't do those kinds of things. She also said I didn't talk about my boys very much, which is not true. On one of my documents, I have a complete list of all kinds of things I talked about with my boys. I talked about their futures. I talked about heartstrings and what makes them happy, and that it's important to stay happy. I talked about how my parents got divorced and how important it was to me that they have their mother and their father in their life. I showed them a map of the United States of America and showed them New York and California and showed them how difficult it was when I went through a divorce as a kid, and how I don't want them to have to go through the same kind of pain, and how I want them to always be happy and be loved. Should I continue? There's more things. She was rushed. She was very rushed when she did her report. And I don't think she possibly could have enough time to check up on the allegations made against me. I don't think it was even possible. I'm also very against the testimony from the plaintiffs. All 4 of the plaintiffs' testimony interviews were very biased against me. 3 of them were family members of his. One of them was his ex-wife, who only met me 2 times, never met our children. Completely lied about everything she wrote. The other one is a dance mom who doesn't know me very well, or barely knows me, and most of her testimony was a hearsay thing she heard other parents saying. The people that she interviewed on my side, my witnesses, when I paraphrased what she had said about them, they said that wasn't at all what the conversation was about, and that they'd like to see their testimony. And I was told that they would not be able to see that. You
shared the reports, content reports, with the people that you gave to Ms. Berquist?
Yes, sir. I called up each of the people that testified, that were interviewed, and they told me.
I'm not interested in what they told you. Okay. It's just that you shared the contents of the report.
I told them what was paraphrased about what they said. Yes, sir.
Let me get back on track. As far as the recommendations for Ms. Berquist were that you have psychotherapy for a minimum of 3 months with a goal of increasing affect, regulation, and ability to be empathetic and tend to the children's needs, not predicated on their successes. Did you disagree with that recommendation?
First of all, I think it's really odd that you get a copy of my personal information and I don't. That's funny. I would like to look at what you're reading. I would like to have a copy of that. Where is that in this book so I can look at it, please?
Do you disagree with the recommendation?
Sir, can I look at what you're talking about?
I would ask that you answer my question.
Where I can see it?
Ms. Urick, it's a confidential document.
Yeah, it's my information. Confidential to who? If I'm the one requesting it.
Well, if I can actually finish a sentence, that would be great.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Then you can understand where I'm coming from. By law, I am not able to have an exhibit like that in the public forum. So he cannot enter it into evidence unless I permit him to. And then it has to be filed under seal. So I have a copy of it, and you can have it to testify from if he's asking you a question about it.
That's what I'm asking for.
Okay, but if you'll let me talk, I will handle it because it's my courtroom.
Okay.
And you don't ask him questions while you're on the stand.
I've never been to court.
You can direct any questions to me, but you need to do so in a calm manner. Are you proposing to introduce this counsel as an exhibit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And what is the exhibit number you have assigned to it?
It would be next in order, 22.
Exhibit 22. Okay. Is it in the witness book?
It is not, Your Honor, because it was a confidential document.
I understand. That's why I asked. Okay. Frank, can you give this to her?
Thank you.
Kathleen Bergquist report from, what is the date, counsel? April
And it's April 2017, and April 30.
April 30th is the date. So it will be admitted as a confidential exhibit, Madam Clerk.
Your Honor, am I allowed to have some of my notes while I'm asking these questions, or do I just have to freely answer?
He's asking you on direct.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to provide your own testimony, and you can use your notes at that time.
Can I at least get my little notebook out that I have on the desk?
Well, I don't want you testifying from your notes
Okay.
unless you're putting on your testimony. I just want you to answer the question.
Okay. Can you ask me the question again? I don't remember what it was like.
Could you turn to page 19 of the report?
Okay.
All right, and you see there's a heading called recommendations.
Yes, sir.
And the first recommendation, my question essentially is, do you disagree with that recommendation?
The first recommendation?
Numbered 1, beginning psychotherapy for Ms. Urick.
Yes, I do disagree with it. Because I don't think her diagnosis was correct. And after researching the diagnosis and everything else, there's no way I lack empathy. I'm a very empathetic person. And also, my children are the most important things to me in my life. And so I don't agree with her diagnosis, and I actually would like to have, I think it was called a work review by another professional, and that I have a right to that. And
I'm not asking about that.
Oh, okay. No, I don't agree with it, and I would like a work review done of her whole thing. I don't agree that I'm, as she said.
Is it still your request that you have primary custody of Jordan and that Mr. Urick have primary custody of your boys?
That was never what I said. When the very first day when I came here, trying to decide where the boys and where everyone was living, it was a very chaotic time at that time. And what was happening was,
my question was very straightforward.
No, sir. Nor was that my stance when it was made in that hearing.
It was put in your answer.
It was not my stance when it was made in that hearing. My words were twisted, and I was forced into that answer.
All right. You realize that was the request you made in the answer and counterclaim you filed?
No, sir. That I suggested that temporarily because the boys were in school. That was a temporary thing, and also just so I can put on record that file. When I did it, I had 9 days to answer, and I said to the court that it wasn't complete, and a lot of the things that I said to the court a lot that I needed help in completing that file, and I didn't expect it to be turned into evidence. I didn't expect it to be used against me, and it wasn't officially turned in. It was given to the department the day before, and there was errors in that report, and it was just suggestions and temporary things. I was not in any way intending for that to be permanent. I want joint custody. I want the kids to have joint custody with both their mother and their father. And I said I wanted that since the beginning, and I've never deterred from that.
All right. May I approach the witness, Sharon?
Yes.
You recall that an answer in Sue John's complaint was prepared and submitted on your behalf, correct? And I'm showing you a copy of it.
Are you talking about what was submitted in court?
September 27, 2016. Attorney Forsberg was your attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And you recognize this as your answer and counterclaim, correct? And the answer, or the counterclaim at page 5, could you read that out loud for us?
The defendant should be granted primary physical custody of the party's daughter, Jordan Urick, and be allowed to continue to reside in California with the child. And plaintiff should be granted primary physical custody of Luke and Johnny Urick.
Okay. You believe that the children should be separated?
No.
And if the court had granted the request that was made in that counterclaim, it would have entailed their being separated, correct?
Sir, when that happened, Mr. Urick had no intention on moving to LA, and Jordan and I were living in LA. And I had a discussion with all three children and asked them what they wanted. And the boys...
I'm not interested in what the children told you. That would be
Okay.
hearsay.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I was very confused then, and my attorney talked me into that situation, and that's another problem that I had from the beginning.
Why were you confused?
Because I didn't know how to share custody. I wanted custody to be shared. I want the kids to have their mother and their father. It's important to me.
Do you know how to share custody now?
I'm sorry?
Do you know how to share custody now?
Well, I've always wanted to share the custody, sir.
That's not what I asked you.
So, yes, I do know how to share custody now. Yes.
How do you know how to share custody now?
What do you mean, how do I know?
How do you know how to do it?
That's an ambiguous question. How do I answer that? How do I know how to do that? I want joint custody. I want it to be shared equally. I want the kids to have their mother and their father just as much as in their life.
Have you learned something since you were confused back when you're answering
the reason why I was confused is because my attorney was telling me that that because of Jordan's career and being in LA, that this would be the best way to do it, and that we would switch off on weekends and everything because of Mr. Urick's insistency that he stay in Nevada, which is now changed. Now he wants to also move to LA. So the situation has changed since then. The situation has changed drastically since then, completely 360 degrees.
And Ms. Urick, we're going to be here a long time if you can't answer the questions I'm asking you. Could you please try to do so?
I'm sorry, what? That was irrelevant.
All right. You recall that Ms. Berquist administered some tests to you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've reviewed in the report the testing that was done and her conclusions from it?
Sir, I reviewed it under the supervision of a sheriff and was not allowed to take notes, but I did read it.
Okay. And she indicates that she administered a personality assessment inventory, also called a PAI. And it's there at page 6 of her report. And she writes in the report at page 6 that the testing suggests you try to present yourself as, quote, exceptionally free of the common shortcomings to which most individuals will admit, unquote. Would you agree with that?
No, I wouldn't. That's ridiculous.
Do you have any shortcomings that you would share with us today?
Of course I have shortcomings, and I don't need to share my shortcomings with this court.
What would those shortcomings be?
I don't need to share my shortcomings with this court. I'm not a criminal. I'm not being arrested for something.
Ms. Urick, is one of the factors in the court determining custody your parenting skills, basically? So I do need to hear your testimony on it.
Your Honor, I'm willing to answer that question if Mr. Urick will also have to answer the question. I think that it should be equal and that it shouldn't be prejudiced against me only.
Again, I think you're being very defensive. You will have an opportunity to ask him questions.
I will? Okay, that's great. Okay, because I would like to ask him the same question. If I have to answer it, I would like it to be equal. So, yes, I have shortcomings. I have a lot of shortcomings.
What would they be?
What would they be? I mean, do I have to name Your Honor, do I have to name every single shortcoming I can think about myself? Is that what I'm being asked to do?
It's a start.
That's a pretty odd. I feel like that's personal. I feel like that I should have a right not to answer something that personal. I feel like my right is being violated right now. I feel like I should not have to answer such a personal question.
I have to make a decision based on the best interests of the children.
Right, but how does that have anything to do with the best interests of the children?
You know what the factors are that I have to determine?
Yes, I actually looked them up, and nowhere does it say what the shortcomings of the parents think, what they think that their shortcomings are. Nowhere does it mention that on any of the research I've done.
The word shortcoming is not used in the factors, but it is part of the factors as far as your parenting skills, your ability to get along with Mr. Urick, your ability to parent the children. So I think he's asking you to describe your personality and your shortcomings in the context of the determination the court has to make. If I hear something that doesn't apply to one of the factors, I can disregard it. I am only looking for information that applies to the factors. Answer the question.
Can you be more specific, sir? Can you name a shortcoming, and then I'll tell you if I possess it?
No. He asked you a direct question. You need to give him a direct answer.
Okay, one of my shortcomings is that I'm human and I make mistakes and I'm not perfect, and I admit that. I make a lot of mistakes and I try to learn from them. Fail to succeed, I guess. I'm not perfect. By any stretch of the means, I'm a human being.
Have any of the mistakes you've made concerned your children?
Of course, I've made mistakes with my children. Who hasn't?
What mistakes you've made with your children come to mind?
Gosh, I don't know. Little mistakes, nothing big.
What little mistakes come to mind?
With my son Mikey, for instance, I guess one of the mistakes I made with him was I wish that I pushed him a little more, with his music, especially, because he's gifted at that, and I didn't do that. Another mistake I made is maybe I should have stood up for myself more. I feel like my kids don't know how to respect their elders so much because they did not see that example. I've made mistakes myself. I've yelled in front of them, like me and Mr. Urick have fought in front of them, and even though I try not to do that, it has happened, and I regret that, and I've told the kids that I'm very sorry, and I'll do my best not to ever argue with their dad in front of them again. This is a very emotional topic for me. Of course, I have a lot of shortcomings and mistakes. Everybody does. This is very unusual and odd line of questioning. I'll keep going if you would like me to keep going.
No. Let me ask you and follow up. You mentioned Mikey. That's your son by another relationship before you met John, correct?
Yes, I had Mikey before I met John.
And after you met John, John adopted Mikey. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And you felt that John was a good person to be a father to Mikey. Otherwise, you wouldn't have let him adopt, correct?
Yeah, that's how yes. I don't think John's a bad person.
Mikey,
No, I don't. I think that every person has good and bad things they do, including myself.
Do you know where Mikey lives?
Yeah, I do.
Where does Mikey live?
He lives with his girlfriend's uncle.
Doesn't he in fact live with John?
I know that he's been staying with John here and there, but no, he doesn't live there.
So you say you wish you'd pushed Mikey a little more with his music career. Are you saying you wish you'd have pushed him more like you pushed Jordan?
I don't push Jordan at all. Jordan is a lot like me. She's very driven and has this pilot. All the other three are very driven. They don't require any pushing. I just do my best to keep up with her and direct her along her path. And I always ask her, if this is still her dream, and she keeps saying it is. So I keep supporting it.
So it's your testimony that
he's
you
different.
don't
All
push
kids are different.
Jordan.
No, I don't push Jordan at all. I don't need to.
So when Ms. Sickham related things that she observed during your overseeing Jordan's dancing career, was she lying?
Yes, she was not. She was exaggerating, and she also is very jealous of my daughter. And she's not. She doesn't know me very well.
You believe many people are jealous of your daughter and you.
My daughter is exceptional. Of course, there's going to be people jealous of her.
So the answer to that question would be yes, you believe many people are jealous.
There are many people jealous of my daughter who is extraordinary, and we've learned how to deal with that, and we accepted that. It happens when you have an extraordinary child.
Who else is jealous of Jordan?
My daughter has a lot of dance rivals.
Do you believe Jordan has special and unique talents that may lead to fame and fortune?
My daughter already has a fame. My daughter already is known in the dance world. Fortune, if you mean by money, success, who knows? Who knows what will happen in the future? But, my daughter is very, very driven, and she knows what she wants. Only at 12 years old, she already has like this passion for life, and that she has like her dreams. And actually, they're not just dreams; they're goals and ambitions that
You've told people that Jordan is world renowned. Isn't that true?
I didn't say that to people. To the therapist, I said it to her that in the dance community, she's known around the world. So yes, in so many words, it's kind of twisted a little bit, but yes, my daughter is known throughout the world with dance. She's very known in dance.
You told your friend Jim Fang that you wanted to be a dancer when you grew up.
That's not true, and Jim Fang didn't say that. I never wanted to be a dancer when I grew up. I wanted to be an investor. I am a businesswoman. I am very business-minded. That's my dream.
So Ms. Bergquist got Mr. Fang's account to her wrong.
Absolutely, and I would like Mr. Fang to be able to attest to what his testimony was.
And she said in her report at page 19, Elena shared with Jim that when she was growing up, she had aspirations of being a dancer.
That's not true. I never said that to Jim, nor do I think Jim would have recounted that. And I never had aspirations of being a dancer. Those have never been on my. That's never been my thing. That's Jordan's thing. Actually, it's not even her thing anymore. She switched it more to acting.
So when Ms. Sycam reported that you would treat Jordan really bad in front of everyone, was that an exaggeration or was that a lie? Or
it's a complete lie. As you can tell by my testimony so far, I'm extremely proud of my children. I'm an extremely proud mother, and why would I yell at her in front of anyone? I'm completely proud of her. She brings tears to my eyes every time she does something. She makes me extremely proud.
Ms. Sycam related an incident where one parent, a dad, stepped in when you were yelling at Jordan. Do you recall that happening?
That never happened. I've never yelled at my daughter in front of people, and definitely no one has ever stepped in during the process of it. That's one of the reasons why I'm a little bit bewildered by the report, because there's so many things in here that have not even a shred of truth to them.
Well, one of the allegations that John has made, as you understand, is that Jordan's been kicked out of the couple's studios due to your behavior.
Yes, and that's, again, completely false. We've never been kicked out of any studio.
And your explanation for that was that you left those studios because Jordan had outgrown them.
Absolutely, she had outgrown them.
How did you find Deborah Tetriak?
I found her through the iText directory.
And that's how you paid for it, correct?
Yes, sir. It's our community asset, which I've been closed off from for a year and a half, by the way.
How many times have you seen Miss Tetriak?
I believe twice. She went on a vacation right after I started seeing her.
So you've only seen her twice in the 2
I had
months
another appointment
plus?
last. I had another appointment. I did cancel an appointment last week. I couldn't. I came across a whole bunch of new information through the business email, and I had a lot to do for court, which I never finished. I never finished preparing for court, and I rescheduled that meeting. So yeah, due to me trying to find her, me making an appointment because she was booked up, and her vacation, I've only seen her twice so far. Actually, I have another session tomorrow.
You told us that you had been out of the iTex account for a year and a half. That was your testimony?
Yes, I've been completely blocked from it, and then on and off, John would okay certain things. For instance,
Did he okay
my eyes,
Ms. Tetrick's?
I'm sorry?
So, did he okay Ms. Tetrick's?
Yes, he did. As a matter of fact, several times he said if I wanted therapy, he would, that he would support that and wanted me to do therapy if that was possible. Several times he made that comment.
Well,
And I have it in emails and text messages.
you've used the iTex account for Botox treatments, isn't that true?
I also, there's a reason, that was a medical reason. I get chronic migraines, which I've had an MRI to prove that I have chronic migraines. I have a treatise in my notes over there. If you'd like to see it, I would like to enter it about chronic migraines and what they do. And Botox happens to be the only drug that's FDA approved to treat a preventative treatment for migraines.
So you
And it was a medical reason. If you look at me, I have no wrinkles. There's no cosmetic reason for me to be taking Botox.
you used the iTex account in September of 2016 for $1,000 for Botox treatments, correct?
As I just mentioned, yes, for medical reasons. And as I also mentioned, it is a community asset, so there's no reason why I can't use the iTex account.
In February of this year, you used the Botox account for getting colored eye contacts. Isn't that true?
I have to have contacts as a prescription, and John, as a matter of fact, because of my migraines, it's affiliated with my migraines, my vision in my right eye, I'm almost completely blind. And as a matter of fact, I had another eye appointment just recently, and I went to go do that, and I was completely blocked from my own community asset, and I needed that to drive and everything else, but I can't afford it without the iTex. And John has been using and dissipating that asset completely without my permission. And as I said, this is a community asset, and I should be able to do whatever I want with iTex, as John is able to do.
You spent $280 for the colored eye contacts with Dr. Reiner in February of this year, correct?
I spent $280 for prescription contacts. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you also, at the same time, about a month later, purchased a laptop computer for $588 on the iTex account.
Oh,
correct?
well, after Mr. Urick stole my computer from TLC Solutions when it was being repaired, I was forced to get another computer so I can do my graphic designs. So yes, I did purchase a computer on our community asset, which there's no reason why I couldn't do that.
May 26th of this year, you went to the Symmetry Medical Spa with the iTex account for $2,200. Isn't that true?
Again, the iTex buttering account is a community asset.
I think I've heard that about 15 times, and I got that. So
Well,
why,
he keeps
why did
asking
you go
me
to
about
the
the iTex
I
account,
got
Your
it.
Honor.
I got it. It's a community account. Why did you go
Okay.
to the spa for $2,000?
Okay, again, I wanted to make sure that all the money wasn't spent out of iTex, and I wanted to make sure I had treatment for my migraines. So I put they're post dated.
You received treatments for your migraines at a spa.
Yes, that's where you get Botox treatments at spas, and I need it for my chronic migraines. It's the only thing that prevents them.
Are you on any medications today?
I'm on that anxiety pill that I was prescribed.
What pill is that?
I forgot the name of it. It's that sleeping pill, anxiety pill that I have a prescription for.
And if we look at Exhibit 7, we have document relating to something called UX.
Okay, yes,
Refresh your memory?
I would like to address those two exhibits, Your Honor.
If you could answer my questions
yes.
first, please.
Your Honor, those exhibits should be stricken from the record because, as you stated in the November hearing, you're not I don't remember the words, but you said that because of my low levels of the drug that was found in my system, I took half of a sleeping pill the day before. That's what it was, that you weren't concerned about the sleeping pill use. And what he did was he found two ingredients in the sleeping pills, and he put them as treatises to make it look like that I have some kind of a drug that I don't have. He's fabricating evidence. And every single report he's said how I had high levels of these two ingredients, which you know that I didn't, because in the November hearing, even you stated that you're not concerned about my low levels of that sleeping pill that I had taken, the half a pill.
Your Honor, I haven't even offered it at this point.
So I just want that stricken, those two treatises, because he's trying to fabricate that I have a drug problem that I don't have with those two ingredients found in the sleeping pill. That's what the treatise is that he's trying to admit right now.
Well, I'm glad that you know what he's doing, because I don't know what he's doing.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
And we just go step by step here. So I have no idea where this line of questioning is going.
He's been doing this with every report that he's submitted.
And
He's been suggesting I have a drug problem because of these two ingredients in the sleeping pill. In every single report he submitted, he suggested that.
Just trying to refresh your memory at this point. If you look at the first page of Exhibit 7, does that refresh your memory as to what pills or medications you're taking?
No, that's not the medication that I'm taking. As I said to Judge Hughes, that is an ingredient, I'm guessing, in the medication that you're trying to infer that I'm taking.
And
I took half of a sleeping pill the day before court, and it showed up in my urine. And that's all I had in my drug test result. That's all I take. Before that point, I hadn't even taken them. But I've been getting panic attacks because of this, because of what's been happening to me. I've never gotten a panic attack before, but it's hard for me to deal with what's been happening to me. Being a mom is important to me. It's been very hard for me to deal with what's been happening.
can I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Well, give her a minute to collect herself.
Can I have some more water?
Yes, of course you can.
This has been a living nightmare for me. And to see what's happening to my kids has been torture.
You need a break?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I'm very sorry.
Okay. No, that's all right. We'll just take a quick break. That's right. We're back on the record. Are you ready to resume, Ms. Urick?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was wondering if I could ask you a question.
What is that?
At what time are opening statements supposed to be made? Were they supposed to already have happened? Because I didn't get to make an opening statement, and I believe it's really important, and it should have been made already, and I didn't get that chance.
You didn't respond when I asked you if you wanted to make an opening statement.
I did not hear you ask that question. I'm sorry. I mean, of course I want to make an opening statement, but the reason why I'm asking that is because I don't think that this procedure should be happening right now at all. There's a lot of case law supporting the fact that I should have an attorney, the fact that this trial is not ready. Certain things haven't been disclosed according to NRCP 16.2 guidelines. I have case law and NRS code supporting what I'm saying, and this shouldn't be happening right now. This is a violation of my due process rights. It's a violation of the 14th Amendment. It's a violation of Sergeant versus Sergeant. It's a violation of the Sanders case and the Myers case. I have case law and NRS code saying that this trial shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be ready, and I should have representation right now. I should not be doing this on my own. And it's a very complex case. And the complexity of this case is still unknown to you because I have not been able to state my case, my side of the story at all, ever, in any of the hearings. And so it's very unknown to you, the complexity of the case. But Mr. Urick is a con man, and he has committed a lot of business fraud, and he has over 24 in business entities in his name and his family's names. And this case should have more than one plaintiff. His mother, his father, and his two brothers should also be sitting over there. There should be third-party plaintiffs, Your Honor. My rights have been violated, Your Honor, and this should not be happening. And I have case law, like I said, supporting what I'm saying. I need a continuance, as I asked before. And I stated a lot of reasons in my motion that was denied for a
And your
continuance.
motion was denied. I think we're burning valuable time.
The NRCP 16.2 guidelines have not been filed by Mr. Urick at all. He owns several businesses. None of them have been evaluated. I have so many invoices proving that he also works for dozens of other companies, and I have at least 6 different companies with invoices totaling with over $5,000 to $10,000 per invoice apiece for his financials, which he has not disclosed to the court, and the court is not aware of these things.
Ms. Urick,
Yes, ma'am.
how many attorneys have you had in this case?
I had Rhonda Forsberg, and I could not afford her anymore.
And did you not have another attorney?
No, ma'am, I have not. But I have another attorney that I would like to retain, and I couldn't afford the retainer. I couldn't in time.
Your Honor, she was awarded.
I gave a continuance to you the last time, and I ordered him to produce documents. And when he didn't produce the documents timely, I gave another continuance so you would get the documents.
Yep.
You have given me no proposed exhibits. You said you didn't have time to copy them. So I am going to let you put on your case after the plaintiff's case in chief. The defendant puts their case in chief on. It's not your time to put on your case in chief. Right now you're being examined by the plaintiff's attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave you an opportunity to get a lawyer. This case has been pending for a year.
Your Honor,
We're not going to continue it in the middle of your testimony because you might feel uncomfortable. Everybody that sits in that witness chair feels uncomfortable. You're not the first one.
I understand, Your Honor. The thing is that I've been filing lots of motions asking for this, for representation and showing the case law and NRS code supporting it. And also, Mr. Urick still has not disclosed those financial documents, not even one. I have not received even tax forms. He has not shown a single invoice. He has not shown any of his income at all. Not even one thing. He has 24 bank accounts that I found in his accounts, and he showed one bank account.
Where are your exhibits, Ms. Urick?
Yes, like I said, I have them with me, but like I said, I needed a continuance because I had just come across this information because he has completely blocked me out of our home and our business.
Ms. Urick, I've continued this trial twice to give you a chance to get a lawyer and to get your case ready. If you don't have your exhibits ready today, that's not my fault. I've given you adequate time, and this case has been pending for a year.
Your Honor, you ordered him to pay attorney's fees, and he did not with ITEX. He did not do that as you ordered.
She spent ITEX.
That will be part of your case in chief. Okay? Answer the question.
But that's part of the reason why I don't have
May I resume,
representation, Your Honor.
Yes, you may resume questioning.
Yeah, first witness.
Yes, you may.
You just told the court that you didn't receive 16.2 from Mr. Urick.
That's not what I said. I said that I didn't receive it in the way it said, the way the guidelines completely. He did try to turn it in, but it's first of all, he's supposed to
You've
get
seen this.
a detailed financial disclosure form. He owns businesses. This is a general financial disclosure form. He has never submitted a detailed financial disclosure form. And according to my research, NRCP 16.
Answer my questions, please. You recognize this document. It's plaintiff's first NRCP 16.2 disclosure of documents and witnesses.
Yes, that's what it says.
And the exhibits are attached, various records and such, correct?
Various exhibits that shouldn't even be attached, yes, sir.
And you were
A
received.
lot of them are fraudulent as well.
You received this by mail, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
You've not done one of these yourself to serve upon us.
Yes, I have, sir. I submitted it, and I submitted a motion for continuance, and inside the motion for continuance, that was one of the things that I had in there, my answer to that, my 16.2s.
Okay, so
I went line by line and answered each clause in the 16.2 thing. That's how I know what's acceptable and what's not. I went line by line and did that and answered each question.
You were awarded $5,000 in attorney's fees.
Yes.
And for the iText account.
Yes, sir.
And you haven't spent the iText account on attorney's fees, have you?
Sir, sir, Mr. Urick blocked me from iText and did not let me have the password until around February of this year. The court ordered the court ordered on November 30th was for him to give me a certain amount within that month, and then 3 months later more of that amount. I believe it was half the first month, and then more 3 months later. The first month he would not let me into iText. By the time he let me have access, I found out that he was completely being deceitful to the court, that there were no attorneys available in iText.
We can disagree on that, but the fact is, when you got access to the iText account, you did not spend it on attorneys, correct?
There were no attorneys in the iText account available. I went and saw the only attorney that would take my appointment in the iText account was that one. Half price lawyers, I believe, the one that does every kind of law. It's not even good at law. And I went there, and they were unwilling to take my case because of the lien that I had with Ms. Forsberg.
You've spent $7,600 in cash payments to Ms. Forsberg, correct?
Actually, it's more than that.
Okay, more than that.
Yes.
All right, so when we broke, you were questioning why I was asking about Oxen. And this is your drug test result taken after we were in court in August of 2016. And the results were positive in your urine. For what did you test positive for?
As the court stated previously, they were very, very low levels of my anxiety. I took half of the pill. That's what that is. Half of the pill. There are two ingredients that were in the pill.
Low levels of oxen and
yes.
The very same treaties that are in the documents.
That is irrelevant since the court already decided.
I'll tell you what, Ms. Urick, you allow me to figure out what's relevant and what's not relevant. That's my ruling. And just answer the question. And he asked you if you tested positive for those two drugs.
Okay.
And yes you did. And their exhibits 7 and 8 are treatises on those two drugs. So let's just get past that.
Your Honor, I read the treatises and I see what he's implying.
It's up to me. I haven't read them, but it's up to me to decide what's relevant.
All right. I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't run the court. I do.
I've never been to court before. I was not aware of that.
So you take these substances for anxiety. Do you take them for anything else?
No, sir, I don't.
And you don't take them for helping you sleep?
No, sir, I don't need help sleeping.
Okay. They weren't prescribed to you, were they?
Yes, they were, sir.
Where's the prescription?
I have the prescription. And actually, I believe it was submitted, that my attorney submitted it in one of her oppositions.
Weren't these prescribed to your brother?
What?
Weren't these prescribed to your brother?
To my brother?
Yes.
My brother Ricky?
You can answer my question.
How would I know if that was prescribed to my brother? My brother lives across the country. I haven't talked to my brother in a couple... I have no idea if they've been prescribed to my brother.
So are you still taking the same substances that you tested positive for in August?
I take them very rarely. I took them the night before court that day, and I took them last night.
All right. And are you taking any other medication?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay, so who's the doctor that prescribes these for?
I had to see. I didn't have a doctor, practitioner, but when I got my panic attack on the first court hearing, I went to see a doctor for it. So I don't know the name offhand because I don't see him very often. Actually, I saw him only once. So.
Okay. And you reported for your drug tests immediately following court, correct?
Yes, sir.
You didn't go to see a doctor to get these items prescribed for you, did you?
What are you asking me?
You said you had a panic attack after court and you went to the doctor.
I went to the doctor like the next day or something, yeah.
But you'd already tested by the time you went to that doctor the next day.
Like I said, the day before court, I was really, really anxious and I had high anxiety. And my roommate, Gilbert, Landon had those sleeping pills, anxiety pills, and he suggested I take half of a pill. And at that time, I didn't think it was going to come back and be this important, and that a sleeping pill would be used against me. And I didn't even think twice about it. I was very worried and stressed out about going to court. I had never been to court before, and I felt like I was being blindsided because Mr. Urick and I had decided to be amicable, and it was a complete surprise to me.
So you did not have a prescription for the substances that you tested?
No, I did not have. I had a prescription before the results came back, and also
post-dated prescription.
Also, to Your Honor, I'm not. Is this really relevant? Because when you ordered the drug testing to be done, you ordered it to be for me to be tested for not for anything else. And so the fact that these other things are coming up on my drug test, it seems like it's a witch hunt and that he's just looking for a catch-all. Like it's a fishing expedition. Is that normal procedure to like use against me other things that were not being ordered to be tested for? Is that normal, Your Honor? I'm not sure what's normal and what my rights are here.
First of all, I asked you to be drug tested.
Actually, it specifically said those two things, yes.
If I wrote something on the drug test, that means that I suspected you were using those drugs. It was not to test you only for those drugs. They do a full panel. And anyone that uses drugs that are not prescribed to them and that are not legal to be using recreationally, that is a relevant topic.
Okay.
Do you see a problem with taking medications that aren't prescribed to you?
Yeah, I don't normally ever do that. In my whole life, I've never done that.
All right, so...
Except for that one time.
And then after court, you went and got a prescription for what you were going to test
I didn't know
correct?
I needed a prescription. I didn't even know that. I didn't know I would even be... I didn't know it would even be used against me when I went and got that prescription. What had happened was I had a panic attack, and I went and saw the doctor, and he decided to give me that prescription and decided I actually did need it. And good thing I thought. Well, good thing that he did, because later, because it was used against me, but now it doesn't even matter that I had a prescription, because you're trying to use this half of a sleeping pill to infer that I have some kind of a problem that I don't have.
So he just coincidentally gave you the same prescription for substances you were going to test positive for. Is that your testimony?
I guess so. Yes, sir. That was what he prescribed for me. It wasn't coincidentally. I was having a panic. I had several panic attacks, actually. And that's what he prescribed for me. And he could have prescribed anything for me, probably, but that's what he prescribed. So I'm not a doctor.
All right. He gave you a prescription. Did you fill it?
Yes, sir, I did.
And where did you fill it at?
I believe I filled it at a Walgreens near my home. Probably, I could be mistaken, but I believe that's where I filled it at.
How many pills did you get?
I'm not sure. I've only taken a few of them.
But you took one last night.
Yes, sir, I did.
You told Miss.
Actually, I took one this morning as well. I'm very upset about what's happening and very stressed out.
You told Ms. Berquist that John is a great guy and a great father. You recall that?
Yes, I do.
Sorry to interrupt.
I did say that, yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So you took a pill last night, not a half, but a whole pill.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the name of the pill?
I think it's Duraxapam or something like that.
And you took one this morning.
I took half of one this morning.
Half of one. And this is supposed to help you with anxiety?
And panic attacks.
Just from my observation, it doesn't look like it's helping you.
I'm so upset right now. I can't believe this is happening. I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. I can't believe I'm here without an attorney. I can't believe that I haven't had time to prepare for, to send in all these exhibits. I haven't had the time. I haven't had the financial ability to be able to do this. It's just completely unfair, and don't want to lose my children due to technicalities.
Well, no one's ever lost their child over a technicality. And 60% of the litigants that appear in family court do not have attorneys. So I'm quite used to someone without an attorney putting on their own case.
Okay.
But they must do so in a calm
Okay.
and rational manner.
I understand.
Because the way you are acting gives me the impression that you are not calm and rational even after you've taken medication.
Yes, I'm a very, very upset, and like I can't believe that my emotions have been denied when I have so much evidence and police reports and everything. I just feel like.
And who stopped you from submitting any exhibits? Who? Was it me? Was it my office? Was it counsel? Was it the plaintiff? Who physically stopped you from submitting any of your exhibits?
I submitted an exhibit list with my motion to continue, but I was like...
Did you submit one of these books to me?
I was...
In advance of the trial, in accordance with your trial management order that you personally received in the mail from my office, did you submit one of these books?
I was not able to in time.
Who stopped you?
No, I was not able to do that. I was not financially able to do that. I went through about 4 different sets of ink. I have a whole bunch of things with me today that I wanted to submit, but I was not able to do it in time. That's why I asked for the continuance.
You can use the iText account for Botox, but you can't use it to print out exhibits to give me before your trial.
Ma'am, first of all, I have been blocked from the iText account. I've been blocked from the iText account, so no, I couldn't do that.
Ms. Urick, you have a paralegal degree. Isn't that true?
I have a paralegal degree in contract law and tort law, and it's, yes.
Where did you get your paralegal degree from?
At UNLV.
And did you go to the UNLV paralegal program?
Yes.
When did you do that?
I believe it might have been 2002.
Got a certificate?
Yes, sir.
And have you worked as a paralegal?
No, sir.
So you've been trained as well?
Yes, sir.
And you also have
in contract law and tort law, can I say why I got it?
Do they have exhibits in contract law and tort law?
No.
You have an associate's degree as well?
Yes, sir.
From where?
From Hudson Valley.
You told Ms. Berquist that you did not believe in mediocrity. You recall telling her that?
Yes.
And she says in her report, quote, whatever they commit to, they have to continue until they're finished, unquote, referring to your children.
That's taken out of context.
It's at page 5 of the report if you want to review it.
I remember what I said. That's taken out of context.
Well, how is it taken out of context?
Because I was referring to something specific, and she didn't mention the specific thing I was referring to. She just mentioned that one statement.
So hypothetically speaking, if Jordan were to state that she did not want to continue pursuing a dance career, would you tell her she has to finish?
No, I wouldn't. And as a matter of fact, she did say that she wants to do acting, and I'm supporting her acting decision.
You told Ms. Berquist that you were trying to get yourself stabilized with housing and income. Do you recall that?
That's not true. I did not say I'm trying to get myself stabilized with housing and income.
Are you stabilized with housing now?
Yes, sir, and I always have been, except for when I was immediately locked out of our home and forced to find a new place to go.
Well, didn't you tell Ms. Berquist you left the home?
That's not true. I didn't willingly leave the home. I was locked out, and I have proof of the change of locks that Mr. Urick used to get the locksmith. Also, Mr. Urick submitted a lease addendum that was fraudulently done, and he signed my name to, trying to get me out of the apartment.
You've told people that you've been living out of your car at times, correct?
I didn't tell anyone that I was living out of my car, except for one time. I told John that I slept in the car one time. That was immediately after he locked me out of the house. I had no friends or family to call or nowhere to go, and I asked him for help, and he told me to go.
Did you have stable housing when you were living out of your car?
What?
Did you have stable housing when you were staying in your
I
car?
wasn't living in my car. That was a one-a-night thing because of John completely cut me off from everything in one a day. And it took everything away without any warning. And I had no one to call and no money and no help. And I asked him for help. And that's why that happened. One a night.
Ms. Burquest noted in her report that she observed during the clinical interviews of you that you minimally mentioned your sons, except to say that Luke and Johnny are super athletes, MVPs in football.
That's completely untrue. I said a lot of things about my sons. I talked about how their futures, how I wanted them to do more than just sports, and how Luke could be an architect maybe one day because he's very good at drawing. I talked about Johnny maybe being a chef and how we've been doing recipes together, and we've been working on that. I also talked about how the kids, how I had a talk with them, and that talked about heartstrings and being happy and everything, and about how Luke drew a picture on his arm in ink of the heartstrings with a magnet hanging from it.
So does Ms. Burquest have some grievance against you to misrepresent you to the court?
I'm not sure if she does or not. I'm not psychic, but I do know that Ms. Burquest is a professional and has been she's written treatises, and she in the world of the sex trade and sex trafficking world, she's someone that's written papers and all that, and she's a teacher at I believe UNLV. She's a professor in that subject area, and I do believe the fact that she was told that I was a dancer had influenced her a lot. And the reason why I believe that is because the people that she interviewed, my interviews, had told me that she had to question each one of them about the times I had danced, which was very minimal in my life.
Let me ask you this. You were allowed to provide Ms. Burquest the names of people you wanted her to talk to, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you gave her the name of a Jim McGinnis, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. McGinnis is a friend of yours. Correct?
Yes, for 20 years.
And at page 16 of her report, Ms. Burquest indicates that Mr. McGinnis stated, I ask her about Mikey and the boys, but she doesn't speak too often about them. I don't know why. And that's in quotes. So is Mr. McGinnis mistaken about that as well?
Mr. McGinnis informed Ms. Burquest that he has a brain disease. He has calcium deposits on his brain. He has Alzheimer's. He's actually dying from it. And he told her, he actually told her about this, and that his memory is not good because of this brain disease he has.
So you're suggesting he's forgotten about all the times that you talked to her about the boys?
I'm suggesting that that's an inaccurate statement, and that Mr. McGinnis did inform her of his condition.
When we were here on May 4th, the judge said that you could have some additional time with the children on Wednesdays after school, and you could help Jordan with her schoolwork then. You recall that?
Yes, sir.
You've never come over to visit with the children on Wednesday since then, have you?
No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. And you haven't helped Jordan with her schoolwork since the judge said you could come over on Wednesdays and do that?
That's untrue. I've helped Jordan several times with their schoolwork.
You never come over to help her on Wednesdays?
That's correct. Mr. Urick did not make that something that I was able to do, number one. And number two, Judge Hughes was not aware of the fact that I'm afraid to be alone in the house when John is there. And there's reasons for that. I have a fear to be behind closed doors with him.
The pickup time for Sundays is 9 o'clock in the morning, correct?
That's the pickup time that the judge wrote in her order. That's correct.
And you are habitually late for that pickup time, isn't that true?
Mr. Urick and the boys have wanted me to pick them up at different times, and I've acquiesced.
You show up most often between 1 and 4 o'clock, correct?
I have a text messages from Mr. Urick and the boys
Is that
requesting.
correct?
That's correct because of their request. Yes, sir.
And you often stay out late on Saturday nights. That prevents you from being able to pick up at 9
That's
o'clock.
not true.
That's not true?
That's not true at all. I don't stay out late on Saturday nights ever.
Do you recall an incident when Jordan wanted to go home from a dance function and you blew up at John's mother saying, "How dare you even talk to my daughter about going home?"
I
Have a
haven't.
time frame, counsel.
Um,
Recently, a few years ago.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
okay, so you have no idea when that occurred?
I've
Or
never
it
had a
occurred?
discussion like that with his mom, and I don't know what you're talking about at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the time frame. I have a witness here that will testify to it. Do you recall there being concerns about you making Jordan do head spins on the floor and her complaining about it hurting?
Who had concerns about that?
Jordan.
No, Jordan never had concerns about that. Jordan is the person that wanted to do that. It wasn't my idea, it was her idea.
Okay, if you look at Ms. Berquist's report, page 12, the last paragraph.
And my daughter never complained about it hurting, by the way, to me. Mr. Urick has made...
You see the last paragraph, have you read that? And specifically the last 4 lines.
Oh, this is Laverne's testimonies. I don't believe that her testimony should admit it. She's completely biased and against me, and it benefits financially from John. Her testimony should not be admitted.
Have you read the last 4 lines of that report? On that page?
A father of one of Jordan's classmates, that line, you want me to start from
Yes.
there? A father of one of Jordan's classmates from dance allowed Elena and Jordan to stay with them for a week. He told me that she was making Jordan do head spins on the floor, and Jordan was crying, saying, "Mom, it hurts, my neck was sore." But she was saying, "No, you need to do this. This is part of your career to go further." He told her not in his house. First of all,
Let me ask you some questions about that.
Okay.
Do you recall staying with the father of one of Jordan's classmates for about a week?
Yes, I did stay. It wasn't a week. I did stay with one of her friends for a little while.
While you were staying there, Jordan was doing some head spins on the floor. You recall that?
Your Honor, this is all hearsay. This is something that she heard someone else say. She did not witness this. Is that relevant? I'm sorry.
He's asking you.
Okay.
Not what somebody else said. He's asking you.
Okay.
My question again was, do you recall Jordan doing head spins on the floor?
Jordan has been doing head spins for 2 years now. No, a year and a half.
And do you recall her complaining that it was making her neck sore?
No, Jordan has not complained to me that her neck was sore. And if she had, if I'm forgetting an instance that she had, of course I would have had her stop doing something that made her neck sore. I'm not a neglectful mother.
Who was the father whose house you were staying in?
Jason Bulstrode.
And did he not step in and say, "Not in my house"?
No, that never happened. He never has said anything like that to me, ever.
Did you take exception with the way Miss Thickham would do things for Jordan while staying with her, such as getting her certain foods?
The way who? I didn't hear who.
Miss Thickham was...
Miss Thickham, Davina?
Yes.
No, I never had a problem with her with certain foods. I believe what you're referring to is my children are very picky eaters, and Jordan had a problem, but no, I never had any problem. As a matter of fact, I have text messages telling her that I was grateful for her help that time when I asked her for help for that one convention.
You know that John was married before to a Michelle Wilson, correct?
Yes, sir. He was married to her twice.
And do you recall there being an incident while Miss Wilson was visiting where you became enraged while playing a game board and punched another player?
Miss Wilson never visited us.
Do you recall an incident playing a board game where you punched another player?
No, I never punched another player.
police ever have to be called out while you were playing a board game?
No, I don't, not to my knowledge.
So if Ms. Wilson shared that with Ms. Berquist, she is lying?
Yes, Ms. Wilson is a liar.
Well, Ms. Wilson is a liar, but you contacted her in February of this year and asked her to go to lunch, correct?
Yes, I wanted to talk about the TPO restraining order that she put on John because
You wanted her help to get your kids back, is what you told her.
yes, I wanted her help with getting the TPO information. Yes, sir.
And you told her you would subpoena her to court. You recall that?
Yes, sir. I did say that.
And she told you if you subpoenaed her, you would not like her testimony.
Yeah, she did say that. But she doesn't know me. She met me twice.
And when she told you
What
that,
did she testify to?
you told her she was a bad mother and began to yell at her.
No. First of all, it was text messages, so how can I yell? And secondly, I told her that John said she was a bad mother because she had given her, when they divorced, she had given her son, which was his stepson, over to him without even fighting for him, without wanting him. So she doesn't really have a basis to judge my mothering
So
skills.
she trusted John enough to allow John to have her child,
She
right?
also had trusted her two husbands before are both in jail right now, so she also trusted them. So that doesn't say very much about his character. Ms. Wilson's character is not something where she should be judging me. She doesn't
So
even
you
know
went
he
to
has
lunch
another
with her,
dog.
correct?
No, I didn't go to lunch with her. I requested a luncheon with her, which did not happen.
Your friend Mr. McGinnis has expressed to you concerns about allowing Jordan to be in the entertainment industry because of the pressure and concerns about stage moms.
That is inaccurate and untrue.
Mr. McGinnis has never expressed any such feelings to you.
No, he hasn't, nor does he feel that way.
So when Ms. Berquist put that in a report, was she lying?
I don't know. But Mr. McGinnis would love to testify to what he said and what he didn't say because I talked to him on the phone. And when I paraphrased and mentioned that to him, he said that he had never said anything like that and that she didn't. The gist of the conversation was not what was written.
Do you have any concerns about Jordan being in the entertainment industry because of the pressure?
Jordan's not, every kid is different. I have 4 kids, they're all completely different. The pressure, of course, there's some pressures and everything, but Jordan doesn't seem to be affected by it. This is something that she loves to do, and she is very good at it and gifted at it. And
Do you have any concerns, was my question.
Do I have concerns? No, I don't have concerns. She is a very acclimated child. And I believe Mr. Urick agrees with that because he is continuing what I started.
Would you deny any characterization of yourself as a stage mother?
No, I am in no way, shape, or form a stage mother, nor have I ever been, nor do I ever desire to be a stage mother.
One of the persons that you provided to Miss Berquist as a collateral source was your sister Kim, correct?
Yes.
And if we look at page 18, second paragraph of Ms. Berquist's report, it says at the first line, Kim acknowledged that her sister is more focused on Jordan. She thinks the boys need their father figure. She's able to do the mother-daughter things with Jordan. Do you agree that you're more focused on Jordan?
No, that's absolutely not true.
Since these proceedings began, isn't it true that you came over to John's house and took Jordan to lunch, leaving the boys at home?
I'm glad you mentioned that because what had happened was, no, that is not true. What happened was I asked them all to go to lunch and the boys didn't want to go. They wanted to play with their friend. And John told me I had to respect the fact that they had their own life and that they didn't want to go. I would never, ever not want to take my boys. I love my boys and I miss them very much. And every chance that I get to be with them, I am with them.
So do you pay rent to stay where you're presently living?
I'm supposed to be, but because I haven't had enough money lately, I've been working for his company in exchange for rent. So I've been working about 3 days a week cleaning pools.
How long have you known Gilbert Landon?
I've known him over probably close to 2 years.
How do you know him?
I've just met him through acquaintances, and he's in the music industry, and Jordan was interested in vocals, and also actually before that, I had got into contact with him through a mutual friend because of my son's interest in music as well, and so that's how I met him, basically, because of the acquaintances, the friends, and our connections in those industries.
You have no lease giving you a right to stay at his home, correct?
I have a written note of him saying that I can stay there as long as I need to.
When the children come over to visit, they all sleep in one bed at that residence. Isn't that true?
Actually, there's 2 rooms, and there's 2 different beds, but the children sometimes choose to sleep in one bed, but they have their own room. There's an extra room.
You're 41 years old? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Birth date's December 27, 1975.
Yes.
Have you been known by any names other than Maria Elena Urick?
Yes, because that's my married name, and I have a maiden name. So, yes.
You've been known as Lennon Bond. Isn't that true?
No, that's not true. That is a stage name that I used.
Well, if you used it, then you would agree you've been known by that name, correct?
No. Lennon is the name.
You have, is this Facebook?
Yep.
You have a Facebook site under the name of Lennon Bond. Isn't that true?
No.
Can I approach the witness?
Can you spell that for me, please?
Lennon, like John
I
Lennon,
used to have
and Bond, like James Bond.
I used to have an account, but I haven't used it in a long time. I believe I deleted it.
Can I approach the witness here?
Yes.
And actually, can I have this mark?
Would be number 23.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as proposed exhibit 23. Can you review that document and tell me if you recognize it?
Yeah, that's my old account that I haven't used in a long time.
So this is an account under the name of Lennon Bond with your picture on it.
Yeah.
And move for admission exhibit 23.
Admitted.
I'm sorry, did you say please?
Just curious if you have
Thank you.
You say this is an old account.
Yeah, well, I mean, I believe I deleted it. I haven't used it in a long time. I was using it when I danced.
And it has a bunch of male friends.
It has male and female friends, yes.
When's the last time you recall using the name Lennon Bond?
I haven't used it in months. I haven't used it in a while.
Months?
Well, I have, yeah, it's been a long time since I used it.
Okay. So you became a dancer shortly after Mikey was born. Is that correct?
I danced a few different times in my life for a few months at a time when I needed to get out of a situation where I needed money, and because I don't, yes, it's a legal profession, and I did dance a few times, yes.
Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Don't misunderstand me. But you can make good money as a dancer. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I had it in the past, but when I had tried it later, there's like a lot of new rules which make it hard to make money now. Because you have to have business license and you have to pay a huge stage fee, and there's different things where it makes it really.
You were licensed back in August of last year when we appeared in court. Isn't that what you represented to the court?
Yes, I was licensed. Yes, I was.
Did you get liposuction under the ITEX count, the cost of about $8,000?
That was during our marriage, not our separation, and that was trade. So it wasn't $8,000; it was trade.
Right.
I did their did their logo and their car vinyl wrap, and it was a trade for that. And also, Mr. Urick had promised me that I could have liposuction after the baby was born. So it was actually a gift and something agreed on by Mr. Urick. And I don't understand why it's being brought up in court right now.
When did you last
child
dance?
custody. What does liposuction have to do with my child custody?
When did you last dance?
I don't remember. It's been a while.
No.
It's been
Can
a
you
long
approximate?
Huh?
Can you give me an approximation?
I don't remember when it was. It's been
This year?
quite a while. I don't know why that matters. When's the last time I danced? Dancing's legal.
Has it been this year?
I don't think I've danced this year at all. No, I think
You're not sure?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Does this matter when the last time I danced was? It's a legal profession to do.
Yes, it's your occupation, or it could
It's
be
not
your
my occupation. It's something I had done from time to time when I was desperate for
It's
money.
relevant. Answer the question.
All right. I don't remember the last time I danced. I don't think I danced this year.
What club or such did you last dance at?
I've danced at the Spearmint Rhino. I've danced at Treasures. I've danced at what's it called? Something. It's like a little local one. I forgot the name of it.
You danced in California as well?
Yes, I danced at Fritz. That was a long time ago when I danced there. That was actually.
Is that while you were on the road with Jordan?
Yeah, when I was with Jordan and when John had cut me off from the financials, that's the only thing I could think of to do because I didn't have another way to get money.
You also are a very talented graphic design artist, is that true?
Mr. Urick believes so.
Do you agree?
I'm pretty good at graphic design, yes.
You've been able to make money doing graphic design, correct?
Yes, through our business. Yes, I have, yes.
As far as your son, Michael, you don't really regularly see him at the present time, isn't that true?
I wish I could see my son more than what I do. He works a lot, and he works very long hours, and he just very recently was able to get a car. So I've made several attempts to be with Michael, but I don't get to see Michael as much as I would like. So yeah, that's kind of true.
Ms. Sycom told Ms. Burquist that Jordan could do much more if she were in Los Angeles. You would agree with that?
Yes, I would, and that is very true. That is the reason why I had Jordan in LA and why I went back and forth 3 to 4 times a week for a year and a half.
At one point, John asked you if you would be okay with him relocating to California with the children, and you told him you would be, correct?
I may have said that, yes. I was strongly supportive of Jordan's career, but I am also strongly supportive that she be with both of us jointly, shared custody.
Do you turn your attention to Exhibit 4?
Okay.
And this was after John was given custody of Jordan, and he asked you about consideration of relocating to California for Jordan's career. You recall that?
Yeah, sure.
And so you recognize this after reviewing it as being the text communications you had with John on that subject?
Yeah, sure.
Move for admission of
Yes,
Exhibit
sir.
4, Your Honor?
Admitted.
And you tell him, of course, I'm okay with you moving to LA, correct?
Yes, sir.
The time frame for these messages, please.
Do you recall when you had this communication with John?
I'm not sure when I had the communication with John, but I remember that I'm not sure when it was, but I remember having it.
Well, it talks about Thanksgiving in the next pages.
Okay.
Does that refresh
Yes.
your memory with Thanksgiving 2016?
Sure, yeah, sure.
And at that time, you wanted to see the children for Thanksgiving, correct?
Yes, I did.
And John told you that plans had already been made, correct?
That's not totally correct. But
That's what he told you.
I had told John that Thanksgiving is really important to me, and it always has been, and he knows that. And I had asked him if I could take the kids for Thanksgiving, if I could have them, and he then tried to tell me he was taking them to Colorado, and the answer was no. And so that's not totally accurate. I can't say a yes or no answer to that.
But he told you could see him on Friday, correct?
Friday wasn't Thanksgiving, was it?
And you told him that you were coming to see them and to call the cops.
Actually, he didn't. I don't remember him saying anything about a Friday, but I remember him saying that I could see him for No, he said I could not come over at all because his mother was there, and I said it's Thanksgiving and they're my children, and I want to see my children for Thanksgiving. Okay. And we were having an argument about whether or not I should be able to see my children on Thanksgiving, and he finally agreed to letting me see them for like an hour or something. And so the only way, I live 30 minutes away, so the only way that I could do that and pick them up was to have a mutual friend that lived close by to allow me to bring them to her house to make them a little Thanksgiving dinner. Which
John has offered you additional time at times since this litigation's been in place. Isn't that true?
That's true, and it's also true that he's denied me supervision, and I haven't seen my daughter, for instance, for 2.5 weeks in a row, or heard from her, or known where she was. And I have police reports.
There was a time when John said you could take Jordan down for a audition in Los Angeles, correct?
Yes.
And that audition got canceled.
The audition got canceled after we were already
John asked you to bring Jordan back, correct?
John was trying to change his mind, and what he was trying to do was he wanted me to get arrested for felony kidnapping, and he threatened to call an Amber Alert when I was already in California.
You didn't bring Jordan back when John asked you to after the audition was canceled?
I had his written permission to be in California for those days, and I was in California, and I did not bring her back after he changed his mind.
John allowed you to take the children down to the beach since this this litigation began. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
And you got to the beach, and you had one of your sons call John and ask him to pay for the hotel that you wanted to stay at, correct?
No, that's not correct. I did not have one of my sons ask John to pay for the hotel. I don't put my children in the middle of things. I don't do that. Now,
who paid for the hotel?
We agreed to John let me have the kids for Easter.
Who paid for the hotel at the beach?
John let me have the kids for Easter for 3 days, and John paid for the hotel. But no, I did not ask my children to be the middlemen. I would not do that.
John was not asked to pay for the hotel until you got down to California, correct? I
asked John if he could use our community asset ITEX, which is something that, so it's not John's money, it's both of our money. So I did ask John if we could pay through the hotel through ITEX. I did ask him that, yes.
So you went down to California to go to the beach without a firm plan on how you were going to pay for housing, correct?
No, I had asked him, I'm pretty sure I asked him before we were on the way. Of course I would have asked him before I'm on the way. That doesn't even make sense.
All right, you could turn to Exhibit 20. You recognize this as your financial disclosure form filed June 5 of 2017?
I would also like to mention that in my my motion for continuance and my oral, my reply to everything, where I put my 16.2s and all that, I mentioned that I had a couple mistakes in this report, that I was trying to get this filed by the deadline, and
This is the financial declaration form you filed with the court,
I
correct?
mentioned that there was a few mistakes in this in my reply that I filed, and I accidentally put a page in that wasn't the right page. That it was a page that I was working out, trying to figure out the sums on for my attorney fees and stuff. And there was an errors in this report, and I know what the next question is going to be, because as I filed, I have known errors in this report.
You haven't filed a new financial declaration form since this one filed last month, correct?
I'm working on the new one. I asked for a continuance, and that's one of the reasons why I asked for the continuance, is because I wanted to correct those two errors. And what I had to do was I had to print out all my attorney's records, which I have all her records all compiled, and I was starting to add up the sums and everything. And
you indicate you're self-employed for Carscom.
It's called care.com.
Care.com.
Yes.
And what is that?
It's this site. It's a care.com is this site where I can advertise my tutoring services, my nanny services, babysitting services. I actually take care of this 5-month-old baby and a man that has MS, and house cleaning and dog walking, things like that. I actually have 400 ads on that site for those type of things, those kind of helpful services for families.
You say your work schedule for that varies?
Yes, it varies according to how many jobs I can get from it. I was doing very well with the house cleaning. I actually was trying to start a little house cleaning business, but something happened, and then I have to kind of start over now.
Well, what happened?
What happened was we had a court hearing, and it was after the one with the in May, I believe, the one about with the Bergquist report, and it upset me very much, and it took me a couple of days to have what happened sink in, and I kind of took a break from everything and just wanted to just take a break from that completely.
Have you ever been hospitalized for any type of mental health issues?
No, I have never been hospitalized for any mental health issues. I think that any mom that's had their children taken away for a year and a half and only gets to see them once a week for no reason would be upset and emotional because of that. My children have been taken away from me. Against my constitutional rights for no reason. I've never had a fitness test done. I've never had evidence against me. I see my kids once a week, and they're traumatized, and it's hard for me to see that.
You also work as a pool cleaner for
that's what I've been doing. Yes, that's what I've been doing the most recently.
So you go out and clean pools?
Sir, I would love to work for my business, Science West Outdoor, like I was for 13 years as a graphic designer. I would love to do that, but I've been completely blocked out of that and forced to find work elsewhere. So yes, I've been doing all these jobs, trying to find money to pay for everything. So yes, sir, I have.
So have you submitted an application for employment as a graphic designer with any business?
Yes.
Who have you submitted those to?
I have a couple of businesses that I submitted my resume with, and I have some names, but offhand, I'm not sure what they are offhand.
You can't name one.
No, I can't. They were, when I went to several different companies, they were not hiring graphic designers at that time, and they said that I could check back later.
You've submitted a handful of applications for work as a graphic designer.
I do have a list of them in my files, but because I have their phone numbers and the manager names, so.
Okay, so you list on the next page of your financial declaration form that you work, I think it says 34 hours a week at $15 an hour. Is that correct?
It says 24. numbers per 24 hours per week.
It's a little small, so excuse me. And who's paying you $15 an hour?
Like I said, I go on care.com and I have about 400 ads, and people that need work done respond to the ads. So they're various people, various families. I do have a few consistent jobs, and I have character testimonies, as a matter of fact, of them saying how well I am with the baby.
You also list a car and housing source of income of $996. What's that relate to?
So, like I said, this report has some errors in it, but the housing I was trying to put in because I'm doing trade for trade for like board for room and board basically. I also borrowed $1,500 from Gilbert recently to be able to afford certain things, for this court case, attorney consultations and so forth.
When did Gilbert stop being your boyfriend?
This 996 in exchange, that's the part where I wanted to admit to that, where I wanted to file for that, because it's exchange for room and board. It's trade.
Was there a time that Gilbert stopped being your boyfriend, or are you telling us that he was never your boyfriend?
I never wanted to put a label of a boyfriend or anything on our relationship. He's my best friend. I do not want to put that label on a relationship. And I have my own room, and that's not a label I was ready to put on.
Your next page of your financial declaration form lists business income.
And also, this is a no-fault state, so I don't understand why that even applies. What?
The next page of your financial declaration form concerns business income that you filled out. What business is that relating to?
Page 4?
Yes. Well, it's B163 in the right corner.
I'm sorry, I don't see one. I see 160. Is that what you're talking about, the fuel?
No, we're talking about in the bottom right-hand corner, page 163. And there's
page 163, sir. It's pages 148. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay. So which item are you talking about?
Well, at page 163, you filled out some information under business income.
Yeah, at this time on the care.com, I was having a lot of house cleaning jobs. I was cleaning houses almost every day. So what I'm referring to, the supplies at $40 a week, is what I was spending like on chemicals and different things like that. And I also bought a steam cleaner, like the floor thing, because a lot of the clients didn't want to use chemicals. So I kind of took an average because it asked like 12 months average. So I took the price of that and I divided it.
It related to a business of house cleaning.
Well, I attempted to start a house cleaning business, yes.
You've not paid any child support since the children have been in John's care, is that correct?
That is correct, and I also have not been provided with any spousal support or alimony or temporary care as described in Sergeant versus Sergeant.
Well, you worked previously at an art gallery.
Yes, sir.
And you quit because you weren't making enough money?
The last art gallery I worked at, they weren't doing well. It was like a really slow period, and no one was making any money. No one was making any sales. It's at the very top of the Caesar Forum shops on the 3rd floor, and it didn't get a lot of traffic. It just wasn't a smart investment of my time.
So you quit that job?
I quit that job to do the care.com stuff. I was starting to make money doing the care.com stuff, and the hours were, it made more sense for me to continue with the care.com. I was making more money.
So when you quit that job, did you have another position or plan to make money to support yourself?
I just told you the reason why I loved that job. I love art. The reason why I stopped working there was because my time was better invested with the care.com. I was getting more work that way.
When you were being interviewed by Ms. Berquist, you described yourself as very smart, correct?
No, I didn't say I was very smart. I said my GPA, which she asked me about. She grilled me about my schooling.
You didn't tell her you were gifted in school?
I told her that I was tested, and I tested gifted,
Okay.
and which is true. That
So
I was.
whether you told her you were very smart or not, you would tell us today that you're very smart.
No,
correct?
actually, I'm smart enough to know how dumb I am.
Did you tell Ms. Bergquist you're very driven?
I am very driven.
And that's a good quality to have to go out and provide for your own support. Isn't that true?
Obviously, I'm driven. Look at all these different jobs I'm trying to do.
Well, your sister has encouraged you to get a full-time job. Isn't that true?
No, that is not true. She has not encouraged me to get a full-time job. My sister is encouraging me to build the business I have a business plan for, and she's supportive of that.
So when we look at Ms. Bergquist's report at page 18, the third paragraph, where it says Kim has encouraged her sister to get a full-time job, that is incorrect.
Again, I want to state that I have a right to get a work review done of this, and that Ms. Bergquist was very rushed. And she didn't, she had some errors. Whether they were intentional or not, there are a lot of errors in this report.
So is that one of the errors that you're saying
My
when she
sister
quotes your
is very,
sister?
yes, it is an error. My sister is very supportive of me, and wants me to. We have a great relationship, especially these days, and she's very supportive of me. And that's not something I would think she would have said outright.
If we look at the
My sister
financial
would
declaration,
testify. Are we allowed to call her? I've read that sometimes you can call a witness for testimonies. That's allowed sometimes.
you recall,
Is that an option?
you recall filing a
Sorry, I was
financial.
supposed to ask you that. I'm so sorry, I forgot.
You
Is that
recall,
an option, Your Honor, to have my sister's testimony by phone call? If it's relevant, if this is important line of questioning, I would love to have my sister answer that herself.
You did not request that.
Well, he's asking me a line of questioning, and I just think it's better answered by my sister than me. This is all about what my sister said to Ms. Bergquist. I'm not someone that can testify to that. All I can know is what I can guess of what I can guess what she would say, knowing my sister. But my sister would be the best person to ask these questions to, not me. And I don't, what's been said here, when I asked her about the interview, she said that she was really upset because she talked mostly about John's.
Hearsay.
can I ask you a question about the financial declaration form that you filed November 23, 2016? It's Exhibit 1.
Okay, Exhibit 1.
And you attached some earnings statements to that particular financial declaration form. You recall that?
I'm looking for what you're talking about. Hold on.
It'd
Okay, the payment statements is.
start at page 9,
Okay, got it.
and then there's one at page 10.
Okay, yes, those were my paycheck statements.
Okay, and from A Room with a View, Inc., which is what?
That's the name of the art gallery I was working at.
And the first one says that you were paid $378 during that pay period, correct?
Well, the first one on page 9 says, okay, yeah, I see. Okay,
You
yes.
were paid this period $378.
Yeah.
And then we go to the next one, your net pay this period $463.50, correct?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Okay. When we go to the first earnings statement at page 9, it says pay date 9/25/2016, correct?
Yeah.
And then we go
Actually,
to...
it says 9/26/16.
Okay. And then we go to the next earnings statement, page 10, has the very same date.
Yes.
Isn't it true?
Yes.
And yet they claim that there's two different pays for those
Well,
periods.
there's a reason for that.
Is the reason that you created this earnings statement on your own?
I would never do that. That's fraud. I am not a criminal. There's a reason for that, and I can tell you the reason. It's because I worked there for less than a month, and they had a change of directors, and I was the last hiree, and they hired the art gallery needed a big, huge redo. It wasn't being run properly. So not only did they had 2 new managers, so they laid me off since I was the last hiree. I had barely worked there a month, and the reason for these 2 paychecks is because they paid me for the time I had worked and for the time I was supposed to work, or something like that. But no, I would never ever fraudulently send in a document. I've never done anything like that. I have no history of that at all. Now, Mr. Urick, that's a different story.
Now, if we look at Exhibit 1 at page 6, where you listed the amount of money you spend each month on the following expenses for each child. Do you see that?
Page 6. Yep.
And you represented to the court, you spent $300 for first child. That'd be Luke.
Hold on, let me see. Which FDF was this from? Let me see.
It's Exhibit 1.
I know. It's in November. Okay, this is the one when Rhonda was my attorney, and yes, I did say these things, and I did my best to make an average of these earnings. She had asked me for this FDF the day before it was due, and there was high pressure on me to get these numbers in. And yes, this is the best guesses that I could make at what I spent on the kids. So at that time,
your best guess that you were spending $2,515 per month for Jordan, correct?
That's an error, sir.
Well,
I wasn't spending that much. That's an error.
You signed this, correct? You reviewed it before you signed it, didn't you?
Yes, sir. That's an error. I don't know what else to say. That's an error. The $1,000 for a month for curriculars and sports. That's probably, it should have been $100. It's a small error. It's a typo.
A small error?
Well, I guess it's an error, sir.
All right. And if we look at page 5, you listed the amount you pay for food and groceries each month, $1,000.
Again, that's another error. I'm sorry. Like I just said, I had one, and Miss Forsberg asked me to complete this the day before it was due.
Have you put together a portfolio for your graphic designs?
Somewhat. I haven't had access to my art, my business stuff. I haven't had access to my designs. I've been completely shut out of my business, my client base, and my design. So I have kind of a portfolio from work I've done while we've been, I guess you can call it separated. But there's no way for me to have a real portfolio because I don't have access to my own work.
You mentioned during the early proceedings that you had a life-threatening surgery?
Yes, sir, I did. Is this relevant, Your Honor?
It's one of the factors.
Okay. Well, can I tell the whole story about it then? Because it's important, the background, if I'm to answer it.
Just answer his questions.
Okay. Yes, I had a life-threatening surgery done.
When did you have that surgery done?
In May of last year.
And what was the nature of that surgery?
I had my breast implants that I had in for a medically necessary reason were leaking. And all through our marriage, I had complained about my concern for the leakage, which were ignored by Mr. Urick. And then finally, when we got separated in January, I had an MRI done, and it proved that I was correct, that they did leak into my body.
And who did the surgery?
The name of the doctor, he's an Indian. His name is very hard to pronounce. It's S-H, it's like S-H-I something. I'd have to look at my notes. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's a very unusual name.
And was there insurance to provide payment for the insurance?
Yes, there was insurance, and that's another thing that I've been recovering from because the insurance deemed it medically necessary, life-threatening, and covered by insurance.
Where did that insurance come from?
What do you mean, where did the insurance come from?
Who provided it?
What do you mean, who provided it? My insurance company.
And who paid for the insurance coverage?
The head of our household, Mr. Urick, who has been paying for all of our bills my entire 13 years of marriage. that completely stopped paying for my bills all of a sudden out of the blue.
Well, you left on or about Christmas Day 2015, correct?
I'm so glad you brought up that
Correct?
huge allegation. No, that is not correct. I would never, ever abandon my family, especially that's horrendous even so that I would do it on Christmas Day of every day. What happened was I was locked out of my home, and then and then John and I had an agreement where I could have some nights there while he stayed at his brother's house because I refused to be under the same roof with him because of a car incident that we had where he was, I felt like he was practicing against me. I felt like my life was in danger, and his of me had extended to rage and an outburst of violence, and I was afraid to be there. So he would go to his brother's Mark's house, and I would be there some nights to be with my kids. And that stopped because he changed the locks on the house one day, and then when I went to go home, he wouldn't let me in, and then I found out he tried to get my name off the lease of the house. And then when that didn't work, he tried to make a fake 911 call and say that I asked him to get a TPO against me to get me out of the house. He made a lot of efforts to get me out of our home. And finally, I stopped going there because I was afraid to be there. No, I never moved out. My things are still there. He's never given me a chance to get my things. And for a year and a half, I've been completely shut off from my business, my belongings, and my children.
When we were here in August of last year, you recall telling the court that you could make $4,000 a month.
Again, when I put those papers in, Mr. Urick and I were going to amicably divorce. I had just recovered from a surgery.
The question is, do you recall telling the court that?
I never submitted those papers officially to the court. The day before, I only had 9 days to respond. The day before, I went to the courthouse and I tried to file them in time. And what had happened was I did not have the money to be able to pay for the filing. And they said that I didn't qualify. Now, the $4,000 you're talking about, I had told them when I turned the papers in that I didn't know how to answer these questions, and I was trying to be as honest as possible. Now, when I was trying to save money for my surgery, which no one helped me with, he didn't co-sign for nothing of that. I made $4,000 one time in a month. And so I said that because I was capable of making that much.
What you verbally told the court on August 2016.
I said I was capable of making that much, not that I made that much. And I told them that I didn't know how to fill out the form and needed help with it. And that I wasn't sure if I should put what I had made or what I do make. And I said that in
one of the
that hearing.
things Ms. Forsberg did was get the transcripts from that hearing and the next hearing.
Actually, Ms. Forsberg did not get the transcripts. I got the transcripts, and I paid for them myself.
And they were filed with the court.
Yes, and I also am very upset by that because opposing counsel did not pay for those transcripts. I paid for those transcripts, and it was by an independent party. And no one should have access to those transcripts but me. But they were paid for by me, yes, sir.
Okay, and this hearing of August 25, 2016, when we look at the transcript that was filed with the court February 16
Oh, the
of
transcripts
this year.
that you have
Yes.
that you shouldn't have?
It says, the court asked you about your FDF and said it says you make $4,000 a month.
What page is that, sir? I don't need to look at the page. I just answered the question. When I turned those papers in, it was to the lady. I think it's called a GEA. I could be mistaken. It's the lady in Department J. Took those papers. I told her.
Answer my questions,
listen,
please.
Miss Urick.
Okay, the question is, did I say I made that much? Yes, I did, but I also said I wasn't sure if that was the correct thing I should put.
Well, I'm quoting from the transcript.
Okay.
You said, well, I wrote that because if I work every day, for 5 days a week, I think I can make that.
Yes, I was trying to be as honest as possible, and I thought, but I don't dance anymore, so I obviously can't make that. And when I was making that, it was in the California Club out here in Las Vegas. I've never been able to make that kind of money.
But you told John that he is only making $1,000 more than you at that time. Isn't that true?
No, What happened was he said that that's how much he makes, but he has jobs that I have invoices for $10, $20, and $5,000 a piece per job in the same week. I have invoices I can show you. That's fraudulent what he put. That's another reason why I'm very upset is
Okay.
because his fraud hasn't been exposed.
If you look at Exhibit 3, and you review that.
You mean tab 3?
Yes, tab 3, beginning at page 23. These, again, are text communications between you and John shortly.
Relevancy, Your Honor?
Well, I have to find out what they are before you
Okay,
start
they're
making
just text
objections.
messages about Millennium, the school that she goes to. It has nothing to do with anything.
And they are text messages between you and John, correct?
Yeah.
And they accurately reflect what you and John were communicating at that time. Isn't that true?
No, actually, it doesn't accurately reflect it because this is a small section of our whole conversation, and you don't get to see the horrible things he had said to me. It doesn't accurately reflect it.
Who is in black and who is in white?
I believe John is in black, Your Honor. If you look at page...
No, I'm in black.
Okay. And who is Maria Lamount?
Oh, wait. No. It's John that's in black.
Okay.
But
I
do want to...
And who is in white?
Your Honor, I was mistaken. The one in white, I believe, is me, and the one in black is Mr. Urick.
And when were these exchanges? What time frame? Month? Year?
It was right after I lost custody of the children.
Month?
It was right. It had to be in August because it was right when.
August of 2016.
But it was right when you gave him. It was right when you gave him custody and the kids got taken from me. I was really upset.
Okay, so August of 2016. These are your exchanges with Mr. Urick?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who is Maria Lamount?
That's my maiden name, and he must have switched it in his phone. He must have changed my name to my maiden name in his phone, I'm assuming, because this is his screenshots. So I haven't used that name since, but it's my maiden name. Maria Elena is my full name. So.
But you don't use that.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, this is his screenshot, so he had put that as my name on his contacts.
And my question was, you don't use that name, right?
No, ma'am, I'm not using that name yet.
Okay, go ahead.
I do plan on going back to it, though.
Okay. All right, go ahead, counsel.
I'd move for admission of the exhibit, Your Honor. I think she's identified it as being communications between her and Mr. Urick after the court hearing in August.
Okay.
If you look at
Admitted, Madam Clerk.
you look at page 24, in the top right-hand corner, you did tell John, I have a job and money. You only make $1K more than me. LOL, right?
Yeah, I put LOL because I was being sarcastic, because that's what he had wrote in his report. You have to understand, this is not the whole conversation.
And this is the conversation where you called John
I probably did. I was extremely upset, and he was calling me horrible names as well. I'm not proud of it, but I probably did.
You don't communicate with John. Isn't that true?
That's not true. John doesn't communicate with me. I try to communicate with him as much as I can. As a matter of fact, he's made false allegations that I hadn't communicated him with in the past, and I had printed out all the emails he was CC'd on. I printed out all the times he was given videos, texts, and accounts of what happened. And I printed out all the text messages from him and his daughter, which proves he was completely lying.
And
again, I want to be amicable. I wanted an amicable divorce.
Calling him was trying to be amicable.
I just said I wasn't proud of that moment, and we were both calling each other names, and I want to be amicable and always have. And it is Mr. Urick that wants to take control of everything.
E-Money Inc. is what?
I'm sorry?
What is E-Money Inc.?
E-Money Inc.? You mean Z-Money Inc.?
Okay, Z-Money Inc.
Okay, I had met someone a long time ago named Eric Durkee, and he had a business called Z-Money Inc., and I did business cards for him. And then he said I could work for him as his manager, and I wanted to do that. But then after investigating him further, I found out he's a con man and has had different things brought up against him on the internet, and also I think he actually got arrested for fraudulent things, and that's the reason why I didn't continue speaking with him after that, or working for him after that.
Isn't it true for this life-threatening surgery for your breast that you told us about that the doctor called and counseled due to you being rude to his staff?
No, that's not true. That's not what happened.
And the doctor, in fact, to refund $3,000?
That wasn't what happened. The doctor was upset because John and I were fighting inside the the room, the meeting room, and this doctor is an Indian doctor, and he was found me disrespectful because of what me and John were talking about, and that's what happened. It was a huge ordeal, mostly about that.
And wasn't, in fact, a friend of yours named Jason Lopez that fixed things with the doctor?
Again, I don't want to put labels on any relationships I had. He was at first, when I had first met Jason Lopez, I was renting a room from his house, and it was completely nothing to do with a boyfriend, girlfriend, anything like that at all. It was just renting a room from his house. Now, when all this is, he has several homes and he's an attorney. When all these things started happening, and no one would co-sign for me, and I couldn't get the money in time, Mr. Lopez loaned me $10,000 for the surgery because he didn't want me to die by not having the surgery, because the surgery was life-threatening and important. And he had the money, and he loaned it to me. And so, yes, Mr. Lopez is the one that helped me make that surgery happen when it needed to happen, because Mr. Urick and nobody else were willing to co-sign.
Do you recall telling the court in August of last year that your job was managing Jordan's career?
Yes, I've managed Jordan's career from the very beginning, since she's been a little tiny baby girl. I do all of her social media. I train her. I rehearse her. I warm her up. I make her outfits. Yes, absolutely. Every detail of her training and career has been done by me up until the court took her from me in August.
Your financial disclosure form, Exhibit 20, purports to have a list of assets and debts attached to it, although I did not see those. Did you make such a list?
What page, sir?
Well, it begins at 160, and at page 165 or actually 166, you say see attached, but there's nothing attached.
I do have a list of all the finances that I incurred during this time. John was not giving me any money whatsoever except for a few designs I had done, which I was grossly underpaid for. I was paying for Jordan's training, Jordan's babysitting, Jordan's food, Jordan's care, transportation, everything that had to do with her career, training, and upkeep, including housing and everything. John was not paying me anything towards any of that.
You drive a cruise vehicle?
Yes, that's another thing
And that
you
was
bring up.
something that John's parents put $10,000 down
Oh,
for
really?
the
Did they
jump in?
really? Okay, well, you know what? First of all, that cruise that you're talking about was fraudulently put in my name. Okay, I never signed anything. The name that they put on there was fraudulently put. I never bought the car, which is in my name. This car is a Lemon that was bought from Hertz rental car place. It was a rental car.
How long have you been driving it?
I've been driving it since that they purchased it, and I
How long
also
would that
have been
be?
making the payments, and I'm underwater, and there's a Lemon
How long would that
is
be?
fraudulently in my name.
How long have you been driving it?
I'm not sure. Whatever the day they got it and brought it back, I've been driving it since that day.
Over 2 years? It's a 2014, correct?
No, I don't think it's been 2 years, sir. That doesn't sound right.
You wrecked that
It's
car.
probably only been 1 year. No, I didn't wreck that car. I'm still driving that car.
You weren't in an accident?
No, sir, I wasn't in an accident.
Or has it been damaged?
But I did have someone run into me coming out of a parking garage and have a dent, and I have all the information about that in a file. The reason why I didn't get that dent fixed is because I had a $2,500 deductible that I had to meet that I couldn't do it. But no, there was no accident made, but someone did run into my car and made a dent on it. So, accident, no. Did someone run into me and make a dent? Yes. What does that have to do? What's the relevancy to that, to this custody hearing, Your
That's all the
Honor?
questions I have, Your Honor.
This is your divorce trial. We're not just here on custody, so he can
Okay.
ask you about items of property and debt.
Okay.
That's all the questions I have, Your
You
Honor.
may step down, Ms. Urick. Who's your next witness?
Laverne Urick.
The plaintiff is going to ask questions of his witness. You will be given an opportunity to cross-examine the witness after he is finished.
Your Honor, am I allowed to object if I feel like I need to object?
You can object to the form of the question. You can't object to the answer. You can only object to the form of the
What if
question.
the answer is hearsay or something that's not evidence or irrelevant?
That's my job.
Okay. I'm
My job
really
to know what
confused.
hearsay is. It's my job to know what relevance is.
I'm really confused because I did some research and I read a court case that says I not only have the right to object, but if I don't assert myself, that I could be waiving my future rights. Should I tell you the name of the court case?
No, that's okay, Ms. Urick.
I'm just don't want to take away my chance for
Hearsay to come in?
Well, yes, because I
will mention if it's hearsay.
I've read what she said in Ms. Bergquist's report, and there's a lot of hearsay and there's a lot of lies. And so that's what my concern is. I'm concerned that she's going to repeat what she said in Ms. Bergquist. And according to my research, I have not only a right to object, but I should assert my objections. And I'm just wondering, how do I do that respectfully, Your Honor?
You will say objection, and I will say grounds.
Okay.
And you will state the evidentiary grounds,
Okay.
and then counsel will respond.
Okay. I will try to do that. I wish I had representation. I
Well,
don't feel like I have the ability that,
I know what hearsay is, Ms. Urick.
okay.
I've been doing this more than a couple of days.
Okay.
Okay? Please raise your right hand and be sworn.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please, excuse me. Excuse me. Please state your full name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Laverne N. Urick, Y-U-R-I-K.
Amazing.
All right, Miss Urick, do you know John?
Yes,
And how do you know John?
he's my son.
And do you know the lady seated to my left?
Yes,
And who is she?
my daughter-in-law.
When did you first meet your daughter-in-law?
Let's see. Mikey was 15 years ago.
And
13 years ago, something like that. 14.
all right. And how was your relationship at the start after you met her?
It was good. a little apprehensive and so forth, but my husband and I both, were happy for my son. He was happy and so forth. When I first met Elena, she had told me about her mother, that she was homeless and that she was on the streets, more or less.
All right, let me ask you some questions. First of all,
Question, can I have that taken off the record? I don't want. I don't think my mom is relevant to this case at all.
Can you repeat your answer?
Repeat it? Yes, Elena had mentioned to me about that her mother was homeless and that she was on the streets and she was very sick and she really didn't have a mom, and I felt empathy for her.
Actually, that's not what she said. She didn't say anything about a mom. She just, I don't think what my mom's status has anything to do with this court case, and I would like that taken off the record, please.
Your request is denied, and stop interrupting on things that are not even relevant. I didn't even type that as a note. It's not relevant. He is establishing foundation for this witness and what kind of a relationship you had. It isn't relevant to your divorce case. I deem what's relevant. I didn't even write it down, so you don't need to keep objecting and asking for things to be stricken. Go ahead, counsel.
thank you. To just back up, where do you reside?
I live in Colorado, Castle Rock.
And do you know John to be a resident of Clark County, Nevada?
Yes.
And how long have you known him to reside in Clark County, Nevada?
87?
To your knowledge, has he been a resident of Clark County since then?
Yes.
And do you come out to visit on occasion?
Yes.
How often do you come out to visit John in Las Vegas?
Before this year, 3 to 4 times a year we'd come out. This year it's been more.
Is there any reason that it's been more this year?
To help him with the grandkids and things in general, house, and also part of our business. I've made deliveries and so forth.
Now, do you speak to John on the phone on a regular basis?
No, we email
Email? Okay.
and text.
You told us that when you initially met Elena, your relationship, you described it for us. Did the relationship change as time passed?
Yes, it did.
In what respects did it change?
It was probably a little bit when Luke was born. He's my first grandson, not my step-grandson. He's my first grandson. And it was at the christening. And I saw this very volatile person getting so upset because there were like 6 people being baptized at the same time. And I mean, it was just, she was just all upset.
For a record, the volatile person that you saw was...
Pardon me?
Who was the volatile person that you saw?
Objection. That's not true. There weren't 6 people there, and I wasn't upset at all on his christening.
You can't object to her answer.
I can't. Okay.
I already said that at the beginning.
Okay, I'm sorry. What if things are not true?
You can ask her questions after
I
he's
can't
done,
ask
and
you questions?
I already
Okay.
said that too.
All right.
Did you not hear me when I said that to you?
Okay, thank you.
I told you not to interrupt?
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I interrupted. I won't do that
Okay,
again.
so what do we need to go over again?
I just want to
Don't
make sure
object
I
to
can
the
ask
answer.
make sure I can
Stop
ask
interrupting. Write down your questions
Okay.
because you get an opportunity to cross-examine. Do we need to go over anything else?
Thank you for saying that. I'm sorry.
I've said it 3 times. Hopefully you got it this
I
time.
got it this time. Thank you, Your Honor.
Right, so you were telling us about someone
Okay,
that was kind of volatile, I think.
So
is the
then
word.
we stayed.
For the record, who was that person?
That was Elena.
In what respects was she being, or looking to you to be volatile? What was her behavior that you observed?
She was just, I've never seen her. She was so upset because the priest was taking other people for pictures before Luke and her family. And I mean, it's a little thing, but it was really blown out of proportion. And of course, you know, then that was that. So that sort of, you know, got a little upsetting. And then when we got back, my husband and I stayed at John and Elena's home. And I helped with the baby. I was so happy with the baby. And I did the cooking, the cleaning. I did the wash. I did everything I could to help her. And she spent most of the time up in her room watching TV and on Facebook.
Now, at the time that John and Elena married, what was John's business or occupation?
We were in the sign company. It was our family operation.
And what was the operation doing business under what name?
Signs West.
And how was the company doing at that time?
We were, well, for years we were doing very well. And when
Can
the
you establish a time frame?
Right.
Can you give me years?
87,
87, through what point were you doing very well?
I'd say up until about 6 years ago, which would be 2012.
Did something happen at that time?
We were not getting, we had a lot of accounts receivable. Some like Home Depot and some of the big companies were not paying us. And the IRS wanted payment, and we were forced into bankruptcy.
And are you involved in the business at this time?
Then?
You.
Yes, I was.
At this time?
Oh, at this time right now, the
Right
one
now.
I'm in, yes.
What's the extent of your involvement in the business?
It's called Signs West Las Vegas, and it's my company.
And do you employ anyone in the company?
My son,
How long has that been the arrangement?
a year and a half.
What was the arrangement before that?
I believe that was with, Signs West, of course, with Elena and John. That was another, Signs West Outdoor, I believe it was. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Okay.
And what changed about a year and a half ago that led to John becoming your employee?
Elena had taken the money out of the account and closed it, so my son had no way to put in any of his sales or anything. And also the reason that account was there was because with a bankruptcy, my son really couldn't get credit. So I started the Signs West Las Vegas so that my son could have a place to deposit. But I am active in it also.
Do you provide financial support?
Yes. Well, and as far as paying him, yes.
And how about to the family? Have you provided financial support to the family in the past?
I have through the years so much. I bought Elena a car that cost $15,000. I put $10,000 on it.
What kind of car was that?
That was the cruise.
What other financial support have you provided
I've
to the family?
supported Jordan in a lot of her dance, her dresses, whatever. Anytime Elena would call and ask for something, I was right there to help. I buy the kids' clothes. The boys, I have 3 boys, and they never would like to go shopping. And Luke and Johnny, whenever I come out, they always ask, you know, Grandma, we're going to go clothes shopping.
Is John close to his family?
Yes, very. All my boys are.
Did that ever become a point of contention with Elena, to your knowledge?
Pardon me?
Did that ever become a point of contention with Elena, to your knowledge?
This is her knowledge. It's not hearsay.
I really, I can't say. All I know is she resented the fact, and she would ask me sometimes, she wishes her family could be as close as ours. I know she Well, that's all I'll say.
Did she ever make any derogatory comments regarding John's relationship
Yes,
with you?
with the boys.
With you?
My relationship with my son.
Yes.
Objection,
She
Your
would
Honor.
call-
Does this have to do with our divorce?
Relevance?
Goes to the custody matter and basically stability.
I think it goes more as to conflict.
That as well, Your Honor.
The only thing was mama's boy. She would say John was a mama's boy, and that definitely is not true.
Have you ever seen Elena get physical with anyone?
Yes,
Yeah. With who have you observed that?
her children, Mikey.
Okay, let's talk about Mikey. What did you observe in that regard?
She's pushed him in the early years, and then I'd say maybe 6 years ago we were in Cheesecake Factory, and I was with her and Luke and Mikey and Johnny, and in front of everybody she pushed Mikey against the wall because evidently he did something to Luke, which he really didn't. I don't know what.
Did Elena say anything when she did that?
She was yelling at him in front of everyone.
Did that make you feel uncomfortable?
Very.
Have you seen her be physical with any of the other children?
Yes, with Luke. She's pushed him. She's pushed me twice.
What were the circumstances? Well, first of all, when did she push Luke?
Luke, he must have been, I'd say 6 or 7. It was school related.
And what was going on prior to you observing her push Luke?
It had something with the homework and everything. It was in the evening. And she couldn't understand why he didn't finish it. And she just kept grabbing him.
You mentioned that she's pushed you on 2 occasions.
Yes, she has.
When would those have been?
That was outside of a dance studio, and Jordan was really crying. She didn't want to go to the class.
When was this?
Boy.
As best you can estimate, if you can't give us a
Yeah,
precise date.
Jordan is 12 now, so I would say when she was 7.
And what did you observe at that time?
Jordan was really upset. She didn't want to attend the class. We were already there, and she was crying and going on. And Elena said she'll get over it. Just don't say anything about mentioning going home. Well, it didn't stop. She kept going on and on and on, crying as she didn't want to. And I said, by mistake, and it's just because I said, do you want to go home? And she just blew up and she pushed me. And this was outside of the dance, not inside. It was outside on the drive.
Did she say anything at that time?
Yes, she swore at me, yelled.
From your observations, does Alina treat the children all equally?
All the same? No.
How not?
Well, for example, I mean, through the years, yes, but this last, Jordan's birthday was in May. She bought her presents. Luke's birthday was just in June. He was 13. Not a single thing. And it breaks my heart as a grandma. I'm here as a grandma. I'm not here for Elena or my son. Believe me, this is my grandchildren.
Now, have you observed John caring for the children since Elena left?
Yes.
Do you recall when it was that Elena left?
Do I recall when?
Yes.
Last was before June. I need help there.
Okay, if you don't know, you can tell us you don't
Yeah, I
know.
know it was before June.
All right. And since then, have you observed John care for the children?
Yes,
Yeah. Does he do a good job caring for the children?
yes, he does. I don't know how he does it.
What have you observed him do?
His demeanor with them. He loves his children. He treats them equally. He coaches the boys. He takes Jordan to LA. She has done well in the last year while he's taken her there.
What type of things does he do for the children?
Packs his lunch, takes them to school, homeschools Jordan, does his work.
When does he have time to do the work?
All day and at night. He's there at night.
And are these things you've observed during your visits
Yes.
to John?
With this well, before that, of course, he still did all that. He still packed lunches, and he still took the kids to school. But this last year has been horrendous.
Now, you tell us about observing Elena push the children. Have you observed her to speak to the children in any manner that you thought was inappropriate?
Always, I mean, the language hurt more than anything. I mean, coming from a woman, a lot of language.
Has Elena come to the house since this divorce has been ongoing while you've been there?
Yes.
And do you recall any period, any of those times that you had concerns about her appearance?
Was a
Objection? Concerns about my appearance?
Demeanor. I could maybe, I'm not talking about how she looked. I'm talking
We had a
about.
time frame as well.
Okay. I'm going to ask you yes or no, then I'm going to ask you when, if you say yes, and then we'll talk about the particulars. So, has there been any times where she's appeared at the house where you've been concerned about her demeanor?
yes.
And when would that have been?
Objection, can you be more
It
specific?
was February.
If the witness doesn't understand the question, she will let us know.
Okay.
It
February
was in
of.
February of this year.
Were you visiting
Yes,
at that time?
I was visiting.
What did you observe at that time?
Objection, Your Honor. He's leaving the witness.
Okay.
What did you observe is not a leading question. Your objection is overruled.
It was on a Saturday night about 8 o'clock, and the doorbell rang, and John was upstairs in his office, and the kids were up there, and my husband and I were downstairs watching TV. I got up, and I answered the door, and it was Elena. She was very disheveled. She wanted to know she wanted to pick up the kids. It was about 8 o'clock at night. And, I mean, I have 3 boys, and I could tell by her eyes that she was high on something.
What did her eyes look like?
Objection. She can't tell if I was hot on something or not. She's not a medical doctor.
Just tell what you observed in totality, okay?
Okay. Anyway, she just demanded that she wanted to take the kids. And I just stepped back and I yelled, "John, your wife is here." And that was that. But she really, then she called the police.
When you say she was disheveled, what did you see that
Her
leads you to
hair,
that?
just her everything, her clothes, her hair.
You mentioned her eyes. What did her eyes
Yeah,
appear like?
like I say, I mean, I shouldn't say this, but my kids tried marijuana, my boys, when they were younger, so I know. I mean, I'm 80 years old. I certainly know when someone is not a normal demeanor coming to the house.
Have you had any communications from Elena since the parties separated that raised concern to you?
I was concerned because it was last August in 2016, and John told me there were some checks missing. And of course they were my checks. And I had signed a couple because if we needed to pay a supplier or whatever, I had to have checks with my son. And they were missing. And the only person that could have taken them would have been Elena. And she did admit that she took them. I was really upset. I called her on the phone, and I did accuse her. I said, don't ever do that. I said, I just couldn't handle that, for you to be writing checks out of, we're barely making it right now. Whatever you did, I do not ever want you to touch or steal the checks again. And she was whatever, denied everything, but she did send me a message.
Did the message cause you concern?
Yes.
Why?
Because she threatened me. And she said her grandchildren would never have anything to do with me. She never lied. She said she never would steal or lie or do anything like that. And the swear words upset me. I mean, for 4 or 5 days, I was just, I wasn't surprised in that way. It's just very upsetting.
In what way did she threaten you?
She said, I know where you live. And she says, I will come after you.
And did she call you any names?
I can't repeat them. It's in my message. I'm sorry, I can't.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Urick?
Hey, how you doing? Can I just say one thing to you? I just wanted to tell you that I am grateful and thankful for everything that you've done for the kids. I'm not sure if you know that, but I want to say that off the bat. Okay. This christening you're talking about, there weren't 6 other people there. It was just our family.
There were 6 couples with their children.
Okay, well, I remember it being a really happy time. I wasn't upset about a thing then. I have pictures to prove this. Is there a way I can submit the pictures of everything to prove that what she's saying didn't happen? We were all getting along, and it was happy, and I would never yell at a priest. Oh my gosh.
Okay, Ms. Urick, this is the time for you to ask questions.
Can I testify to my own account of what happened?
Not at this point in time.
Okay,
it's this witness who is testifying. So you ask a
I can
question.
only ask questions. I get it. At what point am I allowed to testify towards things? Is that allowed at any point?
Didn't I mention to you that you would be? Didn't I mention to you that in your case in chief you would be testifying?
I could ask her questions, but you didn't mention.
You can't testify while she's testifying.
Okay. All right, but at some point I will be able to testify myself.
If you've done all this legal research, maybe you should have researched how to do a trial.
I've been doing my best to try to do as much research as possible. But
ask her a question.
Okay. Ma'am, I just have one question. If you please, respectfully, if you could please help me out here. At some point, will I go to give my own account, my own testimony of what happened during these events?
I've already answered that question. If you're not listening, I can't help that. Ask this witness a question.
I'm sorry, but you didn't say when.
Ask this witness a question.
Okay. All right. During the time that you were helping with the cooking, the cleaning, and the wash and all that, right? Did you say that was when Jordan was a baby?
When Jordan was, when Johnny was, and when Luke was. You invited us out to help.
Thank you.
No. She's still testifying. You can't cut her off, and you can't keep interrupting me. So every time I talk, you start talking. You will not do that any longer. When I talk, you don't talk. She was not finished with her answer. You stop talking at this very minute. Stop talking. Answer the question, please.
Yes, I was invited when all the 3 children were born, and I did all the same things. I cooked, I cleaned, I washed. I did everything that I could to help her. And like I say, it was just, and she had a nanny besides.
Okay.
And also, it was always up in her room watching television on Facebook. And it did get me upset. You know, here's a new mother, and that's it. I mean, she had a nanny and everything else.
You know, when I was answering some questions, I was cut off at certain points. I'm just wondering when I'm allowed to cut off the witness. Is that allowed?
You are never allowed to cut off a witness.
Okay, but when
I will cut off a witness if I
Okay.
think the witness is going beyond, and I cut you off a few times because you were going beyond.
Okay,
So it's
yes,
my
I
courtroom,
remember
and
being
I do that.
Okay.
That's my job.
Okay. I just remember being cut off quite a few times. Okay. Okay, Miss Urick, Miss Urick, what is the proper?
Ms. Urick.
Miss Urick, is it not true that during that time I was recovering from a C-section and that I couldn't get out of bed, that I was under bed rest, and that's the reason why I was in my room? Is that not true?
You didn't have a C-section on Luke.
Yes, I did.
You did on Luke. You're right.
Your
I apologize. You were right.
Honor, every single one of them were C-sections.
Okay.
You want to ask her the question, or do you want to testify? Because if you don't have any questions for this witness, I will let her step down.
Okay, I have lots of questions, but I'm.
And ask the
I'm sorry, I
question.
just need a little bit of help because
Ask
I'm not
the
an attorney
question.
with the format.
Ask the question.
Ms. Urick, would you like be in denial of the fact that I had C-sections for these babies? Would you repeat
Yes,
that?
you did, but okay.
We'll stipulate that all 3 children were C-sections.
Yeah, that's
Your Honor.
fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Ms. Urick. Would it make sense for me to do cooking, cleaning, washing if I am bedridden from having a C-section operation to you?
I don't think it would
Okay.
take 2 weeks to
And
have that, especially with a nanny.
Okay. Ms. Urick, how would a nanny make it so that I could get out of bed?
Because the nanny was taking care of
I'm asking the question, if I'm bedridden because the doctor ordered me to be bedridden because I'm recuperating from a C-section operation, how would I be expected to do the cooking and cleaning? Isn't that why you were there to help out?
You were not bedridden. You were walking around the house. You were everywhere.
And what do I say if that's not true?
Ask the next question.
The business entities that you've had with us and your son, can you please list the businesses that you're a part of?
Right now?
No, like our whole marriage. Can you please list all the
Yes,
businesses that your son and you were affiliated
Yes. We had Signs West, my son Mark, my son Mike, my son John, my husband and myself owned this for quite a few years until the bankruptcy, which was in, I believe, 6 years ago. After that, a year and a half ago, I started a business myself with Signs West Las Vegas.
Continue. What are the other
That's
businesses?
it. You asked me what.
I'm asking you to list all of the businesses your son and you are affiliated with and have been affiliated with during my marriage.
I just answered that.
No, so that is all the businesses that you've had during our marriage with him?
Yes, unless you can tell me.
Okay, well, you don't have a business entity called Signs West Denver?
That was way before you were even involved.
Actually, it's not. I have.
You were not involved in Signs
I have
West.
a proof that you held that business with him during our marriage. What year did you stop having that business then, if that's not true?
You were not involved in that marriage.
I'm married to your son. That makes me involved.
Michelle was
Okay,
married to my
argumentative.
son at the time. You weren't.
Okay, maybe at the beginning of it, but during the business, I'm asking you, what businesses did you have with your son during our marriage? And that is one of them. Science West Denver was in a business during our marriage, was it not?
Objection asked and answered.
Was it not? What did you?
No, it was not.
Okay, it was
You
not.
weren't
Okay, well,
involved. That was
okay.
in Denver.
All right, what about
When
Urick
did you-
Industries, Ms. Urick?
Pardon me?
Urick Industries. Is Urick Industries a business you had with your son while during our marriage?
What has that got to do with you?
Because businesses that you're affiliated with, John, Mr. Urick, also by marriage makes me affiliated.
It was my husband and myself. It had nothing to do with
Was your son
you.
affiliated with Urick Industries during our marriage, Ms. Urick? Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay, so why didn't you mention that on your list of businesses when asked?
because I'm thinking of how you were involved.
No, I didn't ask you how I was affiliated. I said, what businesses were you and your son affiliated with during our marriage? Did I not? Why did you leave that business out, Ms. Urick?
Because I didn't think of it as anything to do with you.
Okay, well, Ms. Urick, what other businesses are you leaving out that you didn't think of?
That, as far as I know, I just can't. I mean, we had. I have no clue. I don't know what you.
Business, you don't know what businesses you're affiliated with? You don't have any clue what businesses you're a part of? I find that hard to believe. I would like you to list
Signs in
businesses you're a part
Denver.
of.
Objection, argumentative, compound.
Okay, Ms.
Asked and
Urick,
answered.
please
Jane.
answer the question of what businesses that you're affiliated with.
Signs West Denver, of course, but you were not involved with that. That was defunct before you were even married to my son.
Continue. What other businesses?
Well, the one you just mentioned, obviously.
Were there others?
Well, name them if you have the
I'm
names.
asking you to name them. Were there other businesses you and your son are affiliated with during our marriage?
Objection asked and answered.
No, she didn't answer it. She did not say all of her
Okay,
business.
okay.
She's refraining from answering the question.
Stop.
So businesses are hostile.
Stop.
Calm down. Okay. She's hiding businesses, and so is my
I am not hiding anything, my
They're hiding
God.
lots of money
Calm
and assets.
down.
Okay.
Calm down. All right, Ms. Urick.
Yes.
I would assume that her next question would be whether your son had an ownership interest in any businesses. That is the relevant question to me, is whether or not your son had an ownership interest in any businesses with you during their marriage.
These were all family businesses. My 3 sons and my husband and myself. The Urick Family Trust, it was nothing to do with Michelle.
Don't worry about the wives.
Okay.
I just want to know if during their marriage, during that time frame,
Yeah, you know,
that
if
did
she
he
would-
own anything as far as a business interest during their marriage. Don't worry about their involvement, nothing like that. Just during that
okay,
time
yeah.
frame. And they
Geez.
got married August 30th, 2003.
2003.
For the last 13, 14 years, has he had any involvement?
Well, the
as
Urick
far as
Industries,
ownership?
yes, I remember that.
Okay. So did he have an ownership interest in Urick Industries?
Yes, but it was no money. There was no money. It was just a company, but no funds were ever in there. Stock maybe, but that was defunct.
Okay.
And I apologize, but if she would tell me the other ones, I would have to think. I don't know none of the businesses ever had anything to do with money. I know my son Michael had greyhounds, but the boys weren't involved with that. My husband and I. So I apologize. If you want to tell me what they are.
No, I would expect that someone would know what businesses they own.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm 80,
I'm
Elena.
asking you to list them and not hide business
Yeah.
entities.
I did this in a very calm manner.
Okay,
Did you not observe how I
Okay.
did that?
Okay,
And
I'll
that's
try to-
exactly how you should be
Okay,
doing.
I'll try harder, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I'm
You seem
sorry,
to take
Mr.
you seem to take her to task
I'm sorry.
on things, but yet you want me to be flexible with you.
I'm very sorry for being hard on her, but you have to understand that they are hiding assets and hiding income, and I need help.
And let me also caution you, Ms.
I
Urick.
need help in proving it. I need an attorney. I need a
Ms. Urick, stop
a
talking.
forensic accountant.
Stop talking. I have given you 2 continuances of this trial so you can get a lawyer. I have not received any proposed exhibits from you. So you are to refrain from mentioning any, quote, evidence, close quote, that you may think is relevant that you have not brought before this court. You cannot mention those things because you haven't even given me a proposed set of exhibits. So you are taking too much time in going off tangents, saying you have proof of this, you have proof of that, because you have given me no booklet that I asked you to. This booklet I got from the plaintiff. I didn't get one from you because you said you didn't have time to copy it. So, no more references to outside documents. I am going by the evidence that's being presented today. Do you understand me? Ms. Urick,
Yes,
do you understand me?
I think that is very unfair. I'm a pro se litigant.
I am so sorry you think that is so unfair because you have had an opportunity to get a lawyer and you are to conduct yourself. And if you interrupt me one more time, Ms. Urick, I'm holding you in contempt of court, and that is direct contempt. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
One more time. Now repeat back to me what I just said.
If I interrupt you, that you'll hold me in contempt of court.
Do you know what that means?
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
That means that I'm in contempt and that I could be penalized.
And what are those penalties?
Jail time, I guess.
You guessed right.
Your Honor.
Attorney's fees, fines, and incarceration, or a combination thereof. So you will not refer to extrinsic documents that are not before me as proposed evidence. You will not interrupt me any longer, and you will follow my instructions. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
Thank you. Ask your next question.
May I ask you a question, Your Honor?
No, ask the question of the witness.
Give me one moment, please. All right, Ms. Urick, so you're swearing that you had nothing to do with mounting greyhounds.
Mountain Greyhounds was my son's and my husband's, and I believe our company in Denver.
So you did have something to do with mountain greyhounds, you're saying now?
Well, yes, because, again, I'm sorry, but it has nothing to do with you. This was before you were even in the picture.
Okay. I actually have evidence that's not okay. Ms. Urick, Clearwater Management. Are you affiliated with that business?
What is the name?
Clearwater Management.
No, I have.
You don't know anything about Clearwater Management?
No, I do not.
I have a list of every business that they're a part of, and I have so many things here, and because of different things, because of
Nothing that this woman is involved in is relevant. If Mr. Urick is involved in it, it's relevant. But if she's involved in it, it's not relevant.
Mr. Urick, these are all family businesses. Every business that I'm naming, they're completely in everybody's name. When you look at
No, I think I have to object at this point. The court did tell her not to reference documents she hasn't produced. That's exactly what she's
Ms.
doing.
Urick, be quiet.
These family businesses.
Ms. Urick, be quiet.
Your Honor,
I'll continue. Sorry.
Again, I would object to her
Know the
referencing
format. I'm not an attorney.
documents that she's not produced today as
I have-
instructed by the
I
court.
have no documents from you, Ms. Urick.
I'm a pro se litigant and didn't know how to admit the documents into evidence. I tried to admit them through motions.
Ms.
I made
Urick,
efforts to admit
Ms.
them.
Urick, limit
Yes,
your
ma'am.
questions to this witness,
Okay, yes,
to
ma'am.
what
Yes, ma'am.
John Urick
Okay.
may be involved in.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not relevant to what she's involved in.
Yes, ma'am.
So an example would be, Ms. Urick, to your knowledge, is your son John involved in Clearwater Industries?
Okay, I understand. Ms. Urick, to your knowledge, is John Urick and you and the rest of the family involved with Desert Movers, Inc.?
I'm sorry, I heard the part of it, just the name of it, I didn't hear.
Desert Movers.
I'm sorry.
Objection, compound. I mean, she asked if
Yeah. Just ask about John Urick. That's what I said.
Was John Urick involved with Desert Movers?
I have no idea what that is.
Ms. Urick, did you not have a lawsuit with Desert Movers?
No, I did not.
You didn't?
I did
Have you
not.
ever heard of direct merchant services?
I did not.
You did not have anything to do with a lawsuit that you were named on for direct merchant services for Desert Movers?
Absolutely not. I haven't been involved in any lawsuits.
How do I admit evidence that this did happen and that I have this?
How many times do I have to tell you that?
That I can't because I didn't know how to do it before today. That I can't do it ever now.
You can't do it at this trial.
Okay. Why am I here then if I can't admit any evidence?
Are you wishing to participate in this trial?
Yes, I'm just.
Okay, but you can't introduce
I have
any
all
evidence.
this evidence right with me, and I did not.
But
know
you
how
didn't
to
have
admit
time to copy.
I didn't know how to admit it. Okay. I'm trying to think of the other businesses that I found. I have a list in here, but I don't think you're going to give me the time to go look for it, right? That would take too much time if I look for my list of businesses. There's probably 24 different business entities that they have. Can I take the time to look for my list? Is that okay or not?
You have 1 minute. If you're not organized, that's not my problem.
I didn't print out my index, and that's my problem. As I have all this information in it. Okay, I'm just going to move forward and save that for the appeal.
Ms. Urick, if you don't raise it at trial, you can't raise it on appeal for the first time. So I did give you a minute to look for your notes.
I have a whole page of business entities, and it's very of a whole bunch of businesses.
You have to ask it at trial. You can't raise it for at an appeal.
I'm raising the question right now. Of all the business entities that John Urick is a part of, I'm raising the question right now. Is that the format? I read it that you're supposed to tell me the appropriate way to ask.
Fine, the way you just asked it is fine.
Okay.
It's been asked and answered.
Okay. So, Ms. Urick, do you have any bank accounts with John Urick, or do you have any bank accounts, financial accounts with him?
No.
No?
I have no financial bank accounts. I have a financial bank account, yes.
Do you have any financial bank accounts under Science West Las Vegas that
is my business.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with you, Elena.
So is John an owner on that business?
No, he is not.
Have you written in checks for John out of that business, pre-written checks for him to use for business purposes?
No.
Has John had any access to your bank accounts?
No.
So you're saying that you have not pre-written checks for him to use for business purposes?
I have. For my purposes, if If I have to pay a,
business, he doesn't have access.
Objection, argumentative, interrupted.
Sustained. Go ahead and answer the question.
if I have to pay a supplier, I leave a couple checks that are signed that you have taken with my name on it, and you had seen that. And I have made deliveries and so forth. Of course, I have checks.
How many bank accounts do you have under Signs West Las Vegas?
One.
Next question, please.
Do you have a bank account with Nevada State Bank ending in account number 7753?
Do I have an out-of-state?
No, do you have a Nevada State Bank account ending in account number 7753?
I do have, that's my business. Signs West Las Vegas, Nevada State Bank.
Do you have a bank account ending with do you have another bank account ending in 7760?
I don't know the numbers. I have one bank account, Signs West Las Vegas, Nevada.
Do you have any vaults or safety vaults where you're hiding assets or money?
Can you say
Why
that?
is that relevant to your
Because,
divorce case?
I have an email of Ms. Urick and John talking about putting things in a vault and somehow and maybe taking $900,000 and putting it under someone's name to hide it from this. So that's the merchant's case she was in.
Going
That's
to
what we
object
were-
to a referencing an email which has been produced. And
Sustained. Next question.
Elena,
No, don't answer the question. I sustain the
I
objection.
do have this email, just didn't know how to.
I
get it. I'm
sustain the
sorry.
objection.
Okay.
Next question.
I'll move forward off the bank accounts. I found 24 bank account numbers that are recent. Ms. Urick, do you have any stocks and bonds with any of these companies?
Objection is to
No.
Ms. Urick.
When there's an objection, please stop.
Whether Ms.
We
Urick
are not
has-
here for her trial.
Okay.
We are here for your divorce trial. So you need to get to the point.
I do think that there should have been third parties added on it, as I stated earlier. And
Get to the
one of
point.
them. I didn't know that at
Get to the
first.
point.
Okay. Ms. Urick, do you know of any stocks or bonds that John and Urick has with these family companies?
all these family companies are defunct and bankrupt. And I will say I had to sell a business for $400,000 to pay the trucks, because my husband and I were signed on Signs West before you were involved. And you know that. You know that we were almost broke.
Your answer is not responsive. She just asked if John had any stocks or bonds
No.
in any of these companies.
No.
So, Ms. Urick, the moving company you just mentioned, was that Desert Movers?
I have nothing to, I don't know what you're talking about.
Ms. Urick, the trucks you just referenced to, was that Desert Movers?
No, it was Signs West.
So, Ms. Urick, you're saying that these trucks, you're saying Signs West had trucks?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, what are you saying? Who owned the trucks that you just referred to?
I don't know what you're talking about, the trust.
You just referred
Trucks.
to trucks.
Trucks, those were the trucks, our Signs trucks, our big boom trucks and everything. They were repossessed, and I had to pay. And you knew that. And I had told you that many
I'm
times.
referring to the fact that Signs West didn't have trucks and that it's Desert Movers that had trucks that you're referring to. Is that not true?
You know Signs West had these big trucks.
You're not supposed to question me. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to question her either. I forgot. But she's not supposed to question me. Is that right?
You do a lot of things that you're not supposed to
Okay,
do,
well,
but you
I'm
want
not
to take her to
concerned.
task for
Sorry.
doing it. And you're interrupting me, and you are in contempt and fined $500.
Ms. Urick, do you have any knowledge of any gold coins that your son has bought?
Any what?
Gold coins. Do you have any knowledge of gold coins that may have been bought by Mr. Urick?
No.
Ms. Urick, is it not true that there's an email talking about a gold coin that you bought with him?
Okay.
Ms. Urick,
It's my
again,
coin.
stop. You're referring to extra documents that are not before me as proposed exhibits. I already explained to you that if you did so, that would be another contempt of court. The first contempt of court was for you interrupting me. The second contempt of court is for you continuing to reference documents that you have not presented before me as proposed exhibits. That is your second contempt of court. You are sanctioned another $500. The next contempt of court will result in your incarceration. Do I make myself clear?
Should I be afraid to question the witness so I don't go to jail?
You need to go by the rules.
I am doing my best to go by the rules.
Don't
I'm
go.
not an attorney.
Stop with the waterworks.
Okay.
You know exactly what you're doing.
Right. I will try harder to follow your rules. I am sorry for breaking your rule. I didn't mean to break your rule. I'm just not familiar with this process.
I have
and
told
it's
you.
difficult.
I have told you what the process is, and you choose to ignore it.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm not trying to ignore it. I'll try harder.
It's up to you, Ms. Urick, whether or not you want to go to jail.
I don't want to go to jail, Your Honor.
Then stop being in contempt of court. You are
Okay.
in direct contempt of court. When you interrupt me, when you reference documents that you have not set before me as proposed exhibits, okay, and you keep referencing them.
I'll stop referencing them. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I really needed representation.
You had plenty of time to get it. I gave you 2 continuances of this trial.
I'll try to follow your rules, Your Honor. Okay. Okay. When you were talking... When you were talking about the event that happened at the Cheesecake Factory with my son Michael, do you recall what you said about that?
Do I recall? Yes.
Okay. Well, I wrote down that you said that you were talking about what had happened, but you had wrote down I really don't know what, and I'm not really sure if he really did it or not. You said those words. So
You said he pinched Luke and he did not. I was right there. I didn't see Mikey do anything to Luke at all.
Ms. Urick, I'm just asking you, if you didn't see Mikey do anything to Luke at all, then why are you accounting on something that you don't have enough information on to account?
I was there. I saw what you did.
Ms. Urick, you just stated that you didn't know everything, that you did not see everything. You just stated that you did not have all the facts. Did you not just state that?
Objection misstates her testimony. Asked and
Stay.
answered.
Okay. You stated I pushed Luke when he was 6 or 7 because of a homework problem in the evening time. Are you saying that's the only time I supposedly allegedly pushed Luke?
I have seen others, but I'm not. Elena, I just don't want to make things worse, okay? I'm just saying I've seen it.
Okay, so when he was 6 or 7 and I allegedly pushed Luke, you're saying this was a homework problem.
It had something to do, you were just so livid because of a homework problem. You were very livid and yelling at him and screaming at him. And I tried to tell you, you communicate with him, you talk to him and find it out. You don't use physical force and scream at him and swear at him.
Ms. Urick, are you aware that when I discipline my sons, that I have them write sentences? That's how I discipline them. Are you aware of that
Yes.
form of discipline that I use? Have you seen me use that form of discipline?
On occasion, yes.
Would you say that would be the main form of discipline I use
No.
with my children?
No.
No? What would you say my form of discipline would be?
Just screaming at them, sending them to their room, making them cry, making them very upset. I tried to tell you, you communicate with your children. You talk to them, you explain this, you explain why you did this.
You're telling me that I send my children to their room for discipline?
Yes, you give them a timeout.
Oh, okay.
That's what you did.
Okay, let's talk about the dance studio experience. You said that I pushed you, right?
Yes.
Okay, why? What happened? What elevated to the point of me allegedly pushing you?
You were livid because I had mentioned to Jordan, do you want to go home? After you had told me prior to that, when she was crying, this was about half hour way before that she said she's a little upset about going to the class, but she needs to go. And then when she got there, Jordan still was crying, and she was crying really hard. And you just said, she'll go out of it, just let her alone. So it would standing there. Finally, I said, maybe she should just go home. And Jordan said, yes, I want to go home. And you got so livid, you were pushing me and pushing, and you were yelling at me outside of the dance studio.
I asked you specifically what led to me pushing you.
You'd already testified to that.
What led to me pushing you? Like, why would I? What you said doesn't have a.
You couldn't control yourself.
To the form of the question.
Someone wouldn't push someone
Asked and
because they
answered.
were upset. A kid was crying. I'm wondering what you're saying led me allegedly to push you.
You were mad because I had mentioned to Jordan about going home.
Okay. And Ms. Urick, how did you get home that day?
I drove.
Was I in the car with you?
Yes.
Okay, so after you were pushed by me, you drove in a car with me?
Yes.
What happened on the way home in the car?
I didn't say hardly anything to you. There was no
So you're
conversation.
saying that after I pushed you, we acted like nothing had happened after that?
Well, I didn't say that. I said I didn't say a word to you. I wanted to get home.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're clear. You're saying that I pushed you, and I violated you, and then we drove home, and there was nothing said or promised
No,
later.
we were at the Grandview. We stayed at the Grandview. I dropped you home, and I went to the Grandview. And there was another occasion you pushed me.
So, Ms. Urick, you stated that I don't treat them all equally, and then right after that statement, you stated, but through the years I did. Yes.
No, I
so
didn't.
Which one is it? Did I treat them
I didn't
equally,
say
or did I
that.
not treat them equally?
Let her finish her question.
Okay.
And then
Which
answer.
one is it? Because first you said I didn't treat them equally, and then the next statement you said was through the years I did. Yes.
Objection, misstates her
I'm just
testimony.
wondering which statement is the accurate one.
Okay. Your objection is sustained. That misstates her testimony. Consider it a new question.
That doesn't, I can't answer.
Consider it a new question. Did she treat the children the same over the years?
No. Parents going to school for the boys with parents when you had to go for a teacher conference, when the boys were playing football.
Ms. Garrett, when was a teacher conference done that you know about?
Well, there were quite a few.
When? Tell me one. Tell me one teacher
Well,
conference.
have
that
you
know
been to a
about.
teacher conference this last year? I
haven't
can't
been.
answer you. I'm
I
sorry.
can't ask her a question.
Yeah.
You're just testifying of your own personal knowledge.
You just
Okay.
mentioned teacher conferences. Name one that you know about, that you just mentioned you know about. Just name one time. One conference that you supposedly know about.
My son went to all the conferences.
No, that's not what I'm asking you.
I don't have an exact date.
You mentioned that there was a problem with teacher conferences with me. I want to know where that problem was.
That you didn't attend the teacher conferences. My son did. You did not. I don't have a date.
Ms. Urick, is it really true that you just don't know what you're saying right now, that you don't really have the
I
facts?
don't know the dates, Elena.
Ms. Urick, is it actually true that you actually don't know the facts of what you're referring to?
I know that the children had teacher conferences because I was visiting at the time.
Ms. Urick, I'm not inferring to this last year that I wasn't allowed to go to the teacher conferences. I'm not referring to this.
You
last
were
year.
allowed to go.
No, I wasn't. Mr. Urick completely locked.
Stop.
Sorry.
Do not argue with the witness.
Okay.
Ask a question. She has asked and answered
Okay.
the parent-teacher conference question. Move on.
Okay, Ms. Urick, you mentioned Luke's birthday. I didn't get him a single thing. How do you know what I got him or didn't get him? Is it possible that I got him something that you don't know about?
I can't answer that. I could only say a question.
Is it possible I got Luke
Yeah,
presents that you don't know
she's
about?
interrupting the witness.
You are interrupting the witness.
Sorry.
Is it possible?
All I know is Jordan received a lot of presents that she told me, and Luke did not receive any.
Ms. Urick, Luke didn't receive any to your knowledge, correct?
Pardon me?
Luke didn't receive any to your knowledge, is that correct?
Yes.
Does that mean that Luke didn't receive any at all?
No.
Okay, thank you. My demeanor on February the 8th, that Saturday, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is it not true that I had just got back from driving from California when I had arrived at
Yes.
the house?
Yes.
So would that be a reason why I would be disheveled from driving for 6.5 to 7.5?
No.
Actually, that night there was a lot of traffic. It was
No.
a Saturday night, and it was a holiday, and I think there was much more traffic, and it took me closer to 7 or 8 hours to drive.
No. I've seen you travel that way many times, and you've never looked like that.
Ms. Urick, do you think that someone driving for 8 hours and then just arriving somewhere, do you think that that would be a reason for them not to be perfectly looking?
I just drove 13 hours from Denver, and no, it is not. I certainly wouldn't look disheveled driving 13 hours from Denver to Las Vegas.
Ms. Urick, were you aware that Mr. Urick had told me that when I got back from LA after I dropped Jordan off as a favor for him, helping him out, were you aware that, I'm just wondering, since you were there, were you aware that Mr. Urick had told me when I got back from LA I could come get the boys? Were you aware of that fact?
Objection assumes facts, not in evidence.
I'm just asking if she was aware of that fact.
And he objected, saying it assumes facts not in evidence, and I sustained his objection. You do not need to answer the question. That would be a question for Mr. Urick. Next question for this witness.
Okay, I was just asking about what she already testified to.
She did not testify to that.
Yes, she testified to February 8th, Saturday night, of me arriving there disheveled and looking like I was on drugs.
Yep.
So that's what I'm asking her about. I'm asking her about her testimony.
I didn't say you were on drugs.
Yes,
That
you
isn't
did.
my
You
words.
said I was.
Stop arguing with the
Okay,
witness.
I'm sorry. Referring to your testimony from February the 8th, were you aware of the fact that Mr. Urick had said I could pick up the boys on my way home from LA? Were you aware of that fact?
Objection, Your Honor. Assumes facts, not in evidence.
Sustained.
Okay. You stated that there was something wrong with my clothing from that your testimony previously. I'm wondering what was that thing what was wrong with my clothing that day?
You just were disheveled. Your shirt was way over onto the side. It just looked like something you had just. You were just like your clothes were so rumpled and wrinkled, and your face, your usually you look presentable. Your face was all messed up. Your eyes were. Your hair was. It was just. I mean. I opened the door and it was like, it just hit me.
Okay.
And you called the police. You called the police.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm sure there is a record of all that also. The police were called, I think, 5 times in a short time, and there's a record of all that.
Okay, the checks that you were talking about in your testimony previously, were they ever cashed?
No,
Okay. Ms. Urick, did you, in the phone conversation that you testified to with me, where I called you all these horrible names, did you not say, and I quote, you are a low life, you are the scum of the earth, and so forth?
I said that?
Yes.
No. You even mentioned in the thing you could hear fear in my voice, and that you know where I live and you will come after me. And I'm still afraid of you, Elena.
Isn't it true that there isn't even a fraction of evidence that supports any of this testimony of yours?
I'm sorry?
Isn't it true that there's not even a fraction of evidence that supports your testimony? That there's no concrete
Which testimony?
Isn't it true that this is all your recounts and you have no evidence at all supporting any of these things that you've said? Isn't that true?
Well, I have a little bit of evidence from the police. The policemen were there.
Your Honor, am I able to subpoena the police officer's testimony?
Discovery is closed.
Well, I don't know what else I can ask her if I can't. I don't want to be in contempt of court and ask her about any of my evidence or exhibits, so I don't want to
I
be
don't
in
want you to
contempt of
do that
court.
either because you will be in contempt.
Yeah, I don't want to do that, so I'm not
So you have
going to
no
ask
further
her
questions for this witness?
Yeah, I can't ask her any more questions. I have questions, but I don't want to be in contempt of court.
No, you don't want to be in contempt of court.
Okay,
So you have no further questions?
right.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a lunch break unless you are going to be very quick.
I can be very quick.
Okay.
4 or 5 questions, I
All
think.
right, that's it. Oh, don't go away yet.
Sorry.
Only 4 or 5 questions because we've gone way past the lunch break.
Right.
And I want to release this witness.
And I'll finish very quickly. You were asked by Elena about whether John was affiliated with certain businesses. When she asked you those questions, what did you understand the word affiliated to mean?
That John was involved.
And did that imply to you an ownership interest?
Yes.
And then you use the term defunct. What did you mean by the term defunct?
When we had the bankruptcy in 6 years ago, no matter what, the Urick Industries, all that, and it was really stock in the family, and no one got anything. We lost a lot of money. My sons lost a lot of money. We were all more or less in dire straits. And to this day, we're still that way.
And this last question, Ms. Urick asked you if you had evidence of what you've testified to. Do you have text communications on your phone that you could show
I have
the court?
the text that Elena sent me, yes, in August of last year.
And we didn't produce it before then, so I'm not going to offer it. But she asked you if you didn't have evidence. You have that.
I have that.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can step down. We'll be in recess until 1:45.
You can leave any of your items you like here. So take your purses and your.
Did you say 1:45, Your Honor? I'm sorry. Is that what time?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the big glaring thing for me is the whole crying act that she puts on it, and I truly believe it's an act. Because she can switch it on and off whenever she wants. When she wants everyone to be, oh, poor you, she turns that on. But when she wants to go after someone like her mother-in-law, she switched that light switch right off, and she went right after her. But when there's a question that she doesn't want to answer, she turns into a puddle. Although I think they're fake tears. And she plays like she's really stupid. But she's not stupid. She's very intelligent. It seems that way anyway, because you see these little glimmers of a very smart person that is trying to play dumb. And she's not dumb. I don't like the way she dismisses her sons for her daughter. And I think she sees her daughter as a meal ticket. She wants her daughter to make tons of money, and she's going to siphon some off. She's going to be like, what's her name? Simpson. Jessica Simpson. She wants to be like, is it Jessica Simpson? Is that the right one? Anyway, she wants to be like her dad. You know, the girl that she shaved her head, and that girl. I can't think of her name right now. But anyway, her father tried to control everything about her because he wanted her money. She's a very wealthy woman now, but that's exactly what I see happening here with this mom. She wants to, pattern her daughter's career. She's only 12. I mean, come on. She doesn't have a career. She has a hobby. But she wants to pattern that so she can make a ton of money and mom can get a huge portion of it. That's what I think. I'm not sure. Don't know her motives. Really don't know. But that's what I see. Anyway, that was part 1 of the trial. Part 2, I'm going to try to get out tomorrow, but I'm not positive I'm going to be able to. So you may have to wait a day for part 2, but I'll try really hard if I can. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.